Okie dokie.
Hey.
Asshats.
The gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, the gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground, the gravity pulls you straight down.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another awesome movie night. We are back, and we are all somewhat here, as much as here as we can be. And there's not a whole lot new going on in my neck of the woods. I did just record a new video, so that'll be pretty fun. It's called Which Chip Takes the Dip, and Sean's been laughing at me for it, but hey, it's going to be fun anyway. So we will go around the room and do our panel introductions. Hello, panel.
Hello.
Hello.
And
Here again.
I'm pretty excited. We have some guests with us tonight that we don't normally have as panelists. So let's start out introducing Dapper Dino.
Well, hello, I'm Dapper Dino. I'm a Ceratosaurus. I have a YouTube channel where I do a lot of creationist debunks, especially. This Sunday, I'm going to be streaming for a total of 6 hours over the course of 7 hours of the day for my birthday. So if you want to come celebrate, head over to my channel and say happy birthday.
How old are you?
I'm going to be, 150,072,000.
Awesome. Well,
That's
glad
Well
to hear it.
played. Well
Bullshit.
played.
If you don't
Seconds?
mind, if you could share a link to your channel in the live chat, that would be awesome. Get everybody to head on over there and check it out and subscribe.
I absolutely will. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time.
Now, of course, Dapper, you remembered the atomic snowball situation, right? No, wait, I'm talking the Bruce Lipton situation. Never mind, but I actually recently calculated the yield for the atomic snowball posited by Kent Hovind, and atomic is exactly the right word for it. Bruce Lipton was bad enough. In the case of Kent Hovind's atomic snowball, the actual radius of the fireball exceeded the diameter of the Earth, and the reason why was because the yield was 789 trillion kilotons.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Actually,
What?
so in a related note, a friend of mine who is basically we're partner channels or something, I'm not sure exactly, but Gutsa Gibbon recently did a video where she went through all of the math for various proposed flood mechanisms, and each and every one of them results in basically the Earth becoming a ball of plasma. So
Is it worse than I thought it would be?
17 H bombs per per square kilometer on the surface of the Earth.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Are we talking planning to reduce the entire ball of the Earth into a molten rock?
Actually, probably plasma. It's enough energy to strip the electrons from their associated nuclei.
That sounds terrible.
Yep.
Okay, Kent.
I hate when that
reason-
happens.
I know,
There's
right?
one reason why the flood will never happen.
No, it's fine. A wooden boat will protect you from that level of energy. It's fine.
The wooden boat has void shields.
Basically.
Well, shall we continue on with our introductions? I think we shall. We also have what? God bless you.
Bless you, John.
We also have with
Don't
us
bless
tonight
me.
another.
Don't fucking bless me. There ain't no goddamn fucking things to bless me. That religious crap in yourself.
Anyway, moving on. We also have TDLane with us tonight. TDLane is a longtime viewer, and TDLane is awesome. I gave you a shout out last week for always supporting the channel. Retweets literally every tweet that I ever post, and it's amazing. It's just a good way to get the word out, and I'm glad to have you on the panel with us tonight. So TDLane, go ahead and introduce yourself.
As she said, I have been on here for a while. I started watching in August, and this show's great. Side Striking's great. You can often find me on RJ's show on Wednesdays, and I occasionally will pop up on Dapper's channel if he's doing after shows. You can always find me in his live chat, though. I'm really happy to be here because this is good fun, and I'm glad you invited me to come here after I asked. It's not an
Indeed.
invitation, I just asked.
Are you still a C? Let me repeat that. Are you still a C? You thought we'd forget.
Not.
Okay.
Well, thank you for coming, and yeah, it was funny timing. You know, I was looking to get some patrons or members on the panel, just as you messaged me about it, TD. And even though you don't financially support the channel, you support the channel immensely by doing all the retweeting and sharing and everything else. And so it was a no-brainer to have you on.
Yeah, of course. Since one of my other shows was with, or I shouldn't say one of my other shows, one of my other appearances was with Jared on his Veterans Talk Weekly, and Jared has this thing, so I'm going to imitate it here.
Yes, exactly.
I will say,
Yep.
I will be looking to support you financially in the future once I actually have work. So there you go.
I mean, that is definitely not a necessity. We don't want anybody to put themselves in any kind of position that's not good. So,
Wait a minute, you said I was going to get paid for this.
Yeah, I lied. But no, it's we're great. We're so glad to have you here, and I'm so thankful for everything that you do for us. Do for us, TV. Oh Lord. Anyway,
and it begins.
We're gonna move on. Let's head on over to Jen for her introduction.
Hi, you know me. I'm Jenny Morgan. That's all. Next.
That was a lackluster intro. It's not your usual.
I'm feeling lackluster today. Just kind of tired. I've been on 3 different streams already today, and I'm kind of talked out, kind of tired. I want to go to bed.
Well, well, just mute yourself before you do that, please.
I'll try.
Okay.
I miss
Otherwise,
the
I'll
days
do
of
it for
Alan
you.
falling asleep and we just listen to him snore.
Anyway, thank you for your introduction, Jen. We'll go over to Chris Kelling.
Oh, well, good evening, and we are ready for the stupid, I think. Sure. Tonight we're enjoying some nice sparkling water, blueberry flavor from local grocery store. I won't mention them because they're not a sponsor. So
Indeed,
But,
we don't have any of those actually.
And then,
Oh, just wait. Raid Shadow Legends will come.
Yeah.
if I feel brave, I might break open a beer that is still sitting in the refrigerator from a few weeks ago. I want to get rid of it before it skunks. So,
Well,
Gotcha.
actually, I might want to say the store that I got my Coca-Cola from. I mean, I know they're technically not a sponsor, but I feel like I purchased their soda enough that they might as well be. Movie
No,
night
no,
brought to you-
no.
That makes you the sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes you the sponsor. It goes the other way around. They give
Indeed.
you money.
Anyway, we'll go over to Shadow. Hello, Shadow.
Hello, I am Shadow. I am also one of the hosts on Game of Fools, the host that cannot seem to get her audio to work whatsoever. Yeah, super excited for movie night.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to have you here again with us. We also have
Always.
with us tonight a fur ball. We have a fur ball in the panel.
Hey, that'd be me.
We have furry ball. It's the furry ball. Oh.
It is me. Hi, I'm Furball. I do stuff and things, and occasionally I stuff things, and sometimes things and stuff.
Oh boy, do you stuff things well.
Jenny?
I thought we
That
weren't
was
going to
supposed to be
discuss
our
that here.
But that's me. Glad to be
well-
back. Sorry I missed last week.
That's all right. Well, we're glad to have you with us. A lot of you missed last week. I was very upset. No, it's fine. We actually had a light panel last week. It was last week was also our 25th movie night 2.0. So that's pretty exciting.
Sweet.
Yeah, we've actually, I've put up with you guys for 25 of these.
Oh, don't feel bad.
No, just like with we talked about with Tornado, it's the other way around.
Ah, true. You're not wrong. No, I've loved every one of these movie nights that we do, and I think it's awesome that you guys are here, and I definitely could not do this without you guys. So I thank you all. We also have with us.
Can we do tonight's show topless?
Sure.
Okay.
Nice thing
It'll
is we
also
never
be our
run out of
last.
stupid.
We also have an RJ. Hello, RJ.
Yeah, I was just making up my dinner salad there, and so had to finish the chicken first.
Aha, that's important. What's going on
I'm
in your
eating
world?
Dinosaur, Dapper, be warned.
What's going on in your world, RJ?
Oh, working on the project and finishing up the second Fog novel, and attacking certain political leaders, and also going after a variety of creationists and generally being a nuisance.
Awesome. The usual. We lastly have a Sean Hufford with us.
The
hello.
Sean Hufford.
Yes,
Well,
Are you
the.
moist?
I'm not moist yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, not.
You hold out hope for it before the night's done.
Well, what's going on in your world, Sean?
Other than the fact that I just lost 30 years worth of work on a hard drive that just decided to die last night, I'm not happy.
Yipes.
Yeah. Yep. That was painful.
Yeah, that's why you always have a backup to the backup.
Well, I did, and then I moved and left half my stuff in Indiana. So all my backups are probably in a landfill somewhere.
I keep
True.
my
No,
master
but-
files on a backup as well, so just in case.
No, they're at a pawn shop somewhere, and some poor old lady's gonna get your hard drive and find all your porn.
That's true.
I'm actually more worried about.
Then
the
it'll be
30
a
years worth
real hard drive.
I'm just worried about the 30 plus years worth of MIDI that I've done that are all gone now and just on backup drives that I no longer have.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah. It was a sad night last night when we got home and found that. Other
So
than that,
if anybody knows how to fix a Seagate external hard drive, I'd be very, very pleased.
Seagate probably knows how.
Sean,
Yes.
that's a very interesting thing, because I had a Seagate drive one time that failed on me. And I called Seagate, and the guy says, lift it up off the desk about 6 inches and drop it. I did it, and it worked for another 10 years. So
I've also heard that if you take a drive and turn it upside down.
I've already tried that.
Okay.
I put it in the freezer.
Don't bother try that again.
Have you thought of sacrificing a virgin goat?
Do you have one available?
Chicken over it.
I know they're the hard
Chicken
parts,
over
but
it.
just cover all the bases.
I
He
always
had
go with
he had a goat, but it's no longer virgin. So
All right.
I always go with the tried and true method of waving a dead chicken over the device.
yeah.
Only works
Well-
if the blood
Freeze it
actually
for a
hits
half
the-
an hour.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
actually,
true.
it did work
Oh,
once.
seriously?
You fool, you have to throw the virgin goat into a volcano. We all know this.
Damn it. I thought volcanoes weren't real, according to Joey Rocha.
And conspiracies by Han.
You have to get a portable volcano. They're handy.
That's true.
Sean, there are people who do dead disc recovery. Their science has gotten much
Ow,
better over
stop
the last
biting
20
me.
years.
Well, it's literally something going on with the heads that are not zeroing back out where they're supposed to. So it's just like going to center post, going off platter, going to center post, going off platter. So it's not finding where it needs to be.
What these guys extract actually remove the platters and read them independently.
Yeah.
And
It's
expensive. Make you well.
It's also very expensive.
Yeah.
What's 30 years worth of work worth?
Yeah.
Probably outside the budget.
We also do have a $2 super chat from Cajun Crustacean who says, "Pour one out for the fallen external drive." Indeed, Cajun, thank you. All right, well, I think we should move on and bring up our wheel. I got the damn fucking cat biting me over here.
What's that thing? What's that thing below drink? Well, I don't get that.
Clam.
It's like bivalve.
That is our clam counter.
Okay, I got one.
Now is that a panel clam counter or is that a chat clam counter?
That is
'Cause
a
if it's
live
clam
chat clam counter.
Yeah, if that's a live chat clam counter, you're going into like the triple digits in a couple minutes.
Clams for the clam god.
Oh my god.
Will it be a calamity?
Wait, who's going to keep track of this?
I've already started.
Oh no.
Now the rest of
so
them, there's probably going to be some missing.
It's not going to be a running total, but like a total at the end of the show.
No, I had to catch up because I missed a few, so I went back and read them. Now we're caught up. So anyway, we have our wheel. Ow, fucking cat.
Is that one of the topics?
Yes, it's gonna be in a minute.
That's the new
Jeez.
name of the wheel. Ow, fucking cat.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Why is anybody in the live chat, by the way, experiencing any buffering?
Nope.
That's what I want to know.
May I make another request?
Yes.
Next time you're doing this kind of stuff, the clam thing, could you move it up onto the same level as the drink? Because it gets blocked by a bunch of stuff on Zoom here.
Aha. You are correct.
And Jenny wants to see the clams.
Obviously.
Well, yeah.
Who doesn't?
Everybody wants to see them clams.
Ta-da! Better?
So are the
boy, that was fast.
pancakes
Yeah,
on
that
the
works
flat
great.
Earth, or are they tortillas about ready to make the taco-shaped Earth?
For some reason,
Those are
YouTube is telling me my stream health is poor and people might experience buffering, but the live chat says we're all good, so fuck YouTube.
Okay.
Anyway, let's look at our movies for the night that are on the wheel here. So we have Monsters, Vibrations, Flurf Map, Crystals, Hoax, Shadows, Flood, and Saturn.
Oh, Flurf map, Flurf map, Flurf map.
I guess
Flurf map.
When do I say the incantation?
I'll let you know when. We have our videos are A Flood of Evidence, Animal Kinds, Hidden Powers of Frequency and Vibration,
What?
Monsters MGTOW, NASA's
God.
NASA Hoax, Cassini's Saturn on Flat Earth, New Flat Earth Map Proven Correct, Super Simple Guide to Crystals, Beginners Part 1, The Shadow of the Sun Does Not Exist, and Why the
Of
Elite
course it doesn't.
Why the
Wait, a
Elite
shadow
Worship
of the
Saturn,
sun?
the Black Cube Exposed. Yes, The Shadow of the Sun Does Not Exist. That is one of our videos. So, anyway, Tornado, would you like to spin the wheel?
On red, by the way.
Wheel of misfortune, turn, turn, turn. Show us the stupid that we should burn.
I can't do this anymore.
She's really trying to kill us tonight.
It is vibrations. Woo!
That was a leftover one from.
These are not good vibrations.
Sweets, right?
I
I'm
believe
assuming
that's
this is not an ode to the Beach Boys.
Good gestations.
Oh dear. Let's see. Let me get that up. Give me 1 second here. Y'all can
That's what he
stall
said.
if you want. Stalling. Not like the leader.
Maybe we could spin the wheel again since we're stalling.
I think not.
Because this is just going to be another one of those stupid chakra things, isn't it? I'm sick of chakra bullshit.
Yeah, can we do
Well,
flood
let's-
instead?
You're only sick of chakra bullshit because yours aren't aligned or
That's
open
true.
or whatever it is.
All right. All right.
Sorry,
How about this live chat? One in the chat if you'd like to see the flood video, and 2 if you want to go with vibrations.
I'm
Yeah,
always
well,
one for
that
flood.
flood video, didn't you, Jess?
Well, we do have Dapper and RJ with us tonight, so it only
Yeah.
seems fair.
I mean, we all know in order to open chakras, you gotta drink plenty of banana onion juice.
And I was gonna say, Jenny, I know how to
Yes.
make your chakras vibrate.
Oh, I'm coming over. I'm on the way.
Oh dear. We have a 17.
Sure you got a lot of AA batteries.
We have an 8675309. I do see
have
more ones.
22,000.
One clam.
20.
We had
Okay, Tommy, 2
good
tones.
vibrate clams.
Stop giving out my phone number.
All right. Well, it looks like the ones win out. So we will go with the flood video.
Yay!
Nice.
All right. We have a 42. I like it. And we also have pie. Thanks, Al, for the pie.
Wait, Al, we got pie and you didn't give me any? The hell?
Damn it.
We're all in here with the clams.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. There's enough for everybody because, I mean, it just keeps going on and on. And on
1
and
clam,
on.
2 clam, red clam, blue clam. Okay, now we're caught up again.
99 clams on the wall.
I had to catch up. There was a whole lot of clams in one sentence.
Jed Clam, bet?
Yeah.
That's all you're going to be doing
Blue
tonight,
fish,
Jess, is
this
just
fish, dead
counting.
fish.
Counting clams.
Yeah.
That's my idea of a good time.
Hey, whatever steams your clams, I guess.
There's
Apparently.
a One Republic joke in there, but I'm not going to make it because I don't want to get this video taken down.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
very prudent of you, young man.
Prudent. I like that word.
Yes, prudent.
Prudent.
Syrian.
Does that
seems
come
to
from
be,
prude?
Syrian seems to want to be
Probably
the
has
first.
the same roots, yeah.
Syrian seems to be want to be the only person ever bounced from a movie night.
From a movie night?
What's Syrian saying?
All of the clams. Alright, I think we're caught back up on clams. We're up to 18 clams already. It's a whole shit ton of clams. I can't tell if the dog
Is
is
that-
playing with his chew toy or the cat. I guess either way they're the same thing.
If we reach if we reach 500 clams for the night, I will drink a bottle of Clamado next week.
You can have a clam for all seasons
Um,
and Planet of the Clams.
Just also a note to the live chat. A super chatted clam counts as 5.
Yeah. Clever way to entice super chats. Woohoo.
Just
Your
saying.
super clams.
Super clams. We need a clam emoji. I gotta find out how to make a clam emoji.
Or the James Bond movie, Clam Finger.
All right.
I'll take a picture and send it to you.
This. All right. So there's our movie. Let me get the audio set up.
Well, starting with Ken Ham, who's totally not a werewolf.
Which I suspect. Anyone want to bet whether that's a thylacine over there on the left?
No, I don't want to bet.
I don't
that.
think it is. I think it's some kind of feline, honestly.
Ah, okay. And are there sentient vertebrates in the center and on the right?
Well, they're
no.
vertebrates. I don't know
Yeah.
if they're sentient.
See, I'm a
or
little
not.
doubtful on that part too.
They could be animatronics. I don't know.
That's well,
So-
boy, then they
so-
need their money back.
Furball, would you like to explain clams to Factard?
I wasn't even there the night it happened. I just remember the night I was watching the night it happened because I think that might have been right before I became a panel member.
I thought Factard
That's the
was
punishment
there.
for talking about clams too much.
Suddenly, the side chat becomes nothing but clams, which isn't a bad thing.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, we're already up to 28 clams, so.
And you're probably 28 behind.
Drink.
Yeah. Yes, Tornado?
God.
Do you know I debated Bill 9? I did, you know. I debated Bill 9.
All right, I think we're all set up here. Let me get the volume up. All right.
Insert shout out to Side Strike here.
Yeah, let's let
TDLane
Ken
has their
Clam
hand up.
speak.
There's so much going on in the background of this show. It's insane. Can't believe I still find
So-
time to talk.
So who are the monkeys on screen?
Ken
That looks
Ham
like
and his
Ken
other
Ham and-
monkey.
Bodie Hodge, his son-in-law / employee.
Okay. So Ken Ham's the old guy then.
Oh
Yes.
no, I don't think that's Ken Ham. He looks too pudgy for Ham.
I think it's
Ham-
just because he's stretched too. I mean, he is
Ham,
pudgier.
He
but-
is. Ham has the skinny face, fat body thing going on. He's skinny from like the shoulders up, but he's rather rotund from the shoulders down.
Look, here's how you can tell if it's,
Oh boy, that is sad. He's really let himself go.
here's how you can tell if it's Ken Clam. If he looks like a chimpanzee in a human suit. That's how you can tell.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I was thinking.
That's
He looks
that
like a
sounds
guy
good.
that I used to work with that we used to call him Alien Man because it looks like a bunch of aliens put parts together and didn't really have a guide to know what an actual human looked like.
Oh, or also known as the Baron Frankenstein home starter kit.
He
Yeah,
kind
the
of
self-
he kind
the
of looks like a spider.
self-starter kit.
He kind of looks like a spider monkey that's spent way too many nights at a strip bar.
There's no such thing as way too many nights.
I'm getting.
Yeah, but have a
Maybe they're
boy.
using
There are for spider monkeys.
I did.
That's true.
Hunter D in the live chat said bad aspect ratio. Yes, I had to stretch this video, so it is gonna look a little funny, but it was the highest I could download. It was 360p. So this
They
was
recorded on a potato.
this was not recorded in the best the filmmaking properties. Let's just say. I mean,
the same way Noah would have.
I'm
think-
sure.
I
I
think
think
they're using
JM might.
potato
I
as
think
a power
JM might
source.
have had a hand in this.
The only anamorphic movie ever done in 1D.
Yeah. All right.
I do
well-
have something to add on to that, since you say
Yes.
it's a bad aspect ratio. Does that mean that Ken Ham is a badass?
Bite my aspect.
Anyway, let us start up and see. Oh God, the Kitsune Cavalier says JM's clam quarter. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you. All right, we are going to get started. We're up to 50 clams at the beginning, so here we go.
Okay, we're going to try this again.
Yeah, let's try it again.
We're going to try it again. You know what? Technology is fallible. Did you know that?
It sure is.
God's word is infallible.
That's right. At least the ark floated.
But yeah, that's true. But
Yes, Tornado.
God's word is indelible. At least the Bible, at least the flood story is. Well, actually, no, it's not. Because I ran some calculations involving the atomic snowball of Kent Hovind, which, mind you, is the most plausible scenario, and the yield came out to 789 trillion kilotons, enough to basically cover the entirety of Earth in an unquenchable fireball.
Except this is Ken Ham, not Ken Hovind, so it's moot. It's moot. Save it for
You're
next
mixing
time.
your Kens.
But the problem is that Ken Ham tends to be a fan of either rapid continental drift or hydroplate, both of which result in thermal energy problems on the order of, say, 17 or so H-bombs per square kilometer on the surface of the Earth. So his ideas don't actually fare any better.
Well, okay, so marshmallow toasting is going to be really popular on the Ark.
For a moment or two.
All
Ken
right.
Pork Belly.
Well, to be fair, everything in the Ark will be barbecued.
No, that's holy wood. It protects you.
Ah.
You guys.
That's
You're
why
such
God was so
skeptics.
specific about the gopher wood. That's the only kind of wood that can survive atomic blasts.
That's true.
Smoky flavor too.
Made
That's
of real
exact-
gophers.
That's exactly what Lucifer told me.
All right. Well, shall we continue
No,
on?
no
We haven't
invented
really heard a whole lot
Plectobarate.
here. All right. We're going to move on. Do I have a hand up? Tornado, you had your hand up?
Oh, sorry.
It's all
I
good.
lowered it, actually.
Ow.
All right, here we go.
Man's technology is fallible. So we're starting this again.
Yep.
We're down here at the Ark.
At the Ark.
Because it's been raining for the last couple of days.
Yeah, we had to rush to the Ark.
Feels like it's been raining for 40 days and 40 nights. You know that?
It seems like that's the Midwest for
I
you.
think people are going to be pouring in.
Yes, Jen?
Then that Ark they're on would be theoretically floating.
Mm.
So they're lying to us right off the bat.
Oh, I don't think that little thing has ever been designed to float.
Yeah.
When has the truth ever gotten in the way of creationists?
Actually, somebody has built a Noah's Ark mock-up that does float. He was taking it around on tours a few years back.
They probably had to float quite a few checks to.
Well, that's another. Or people from Slovakia if he didn't have the checks available.
And Shadow, you had your hand up?
Yeah, either I don't believe it's raining or they're not in the Ark, because I'm pretty sure the last time it rained really hard, didn't the whole thing flood?
An embankment behind the Ark did, yeah. That was a little bit of a run, but apparently there was no actual damage to the fabulous science attraction.
Somehow.
Thank God.
We do have a super chat, by the way, a $2 super chat from Ken Clam. I think I think that counts as 5 clams, even though it's a name.
Yeah.
Too many
I'm pretty
Ken.
sure that account was made just for this. Sorry.
Yeah. Ken Clam for $2 says, too many Ken Kents. Send them off on a boat, maybe? Yeah, I think that sounds like a good plan to me.
Just out of horrifying curiosity, how long is this video?
Long. It's 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. Get your sleeping bags out, kids. We're in it for a while.
Ken Clam says, and yes, I made this account for this one joke. Well worth it, sir. Or
can
miss.
we make an
I don't
internal
know.
pact?
That's amazing.
No drink calls with no more than 2 drink calls within a minute and a half of videotape.
I mean, it sounds reasonable. All right, let's continue on.
In here today.
You know, I miss like.
I think there'll be a flood of people today.
There could
What do
be a
you
flood of
what do you
people.
think?
Yeah.
I think it's going to rain people
It's
today.
pouring outside.
Yeah.
So.
So anyway, you would never know it
pun.
inside the
No,
Ark
I
here.
know, yeah.
So this is Bodie Hodge, and Bodie's one of our speakers and writers, and well, you do all sorts of things, don't you?
Yeah, well, we're on Answers News quite often.
That's true. You
so,
do
know,
Answers News with me and Dr. Georgia Burnham,
Yeah.
and you
I think she
also
said
contribute
writers.
4 of our grandkids
That's true.
to the 16
That is true.
that we have.
That's right.
So we're down here at the Ark, and we wanted to talk today about mean.
Mean.
Are you mean? No, it's not spelled that way. It's spelled
That's right. It's
M-I-N.
M-I-N. is the
M-I-N.
way
I
we
want to talk to you
spell
about
it, so.
mean and
Right. And what does mean?
what does mean? That's what we're going to
That's
do
what we're
today.
gonna talk about
And we're going to talk about
Yes, Chris?
Are they trying to say meme like M-E-M-E or
No, I think
It's
with an
an
N.
M-I-N.
they being that
Yeah.
dumb? Or
An
they
N
just
like
being
Nancy.
obtuse?
He just spelled it.
Indeed.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it was right.
But what they're talking about is the Hebrew word "mean," which is the word that the Bible is usually translating as kind. It's what is it? Meme yod nun, or yeah.
It's from whence baraminology comes from.
Except that bara means a kind created. It doesn't actually mean a created kind. They got the Hebrew extrevely wrong.
Interesting. I mean,
Yeah, they
it's
didn't bother to
unusual for
check
them
the
to ever
Hebrew
get
grammar.
anything wrong, but
I know. Even the language that their favorite book is written in, they couldn't even get that right.
I'm not really surprised.
Wait, does that mean the kind could be created through evolution?
Bite your tongue, young man.
I was just about to go on to that.
Yes, TDLane?
It just also happens that with baraminology, if you use the exact methods that baramnologists use, you can prove evolution.
What a coinkydink.
It's always the good style of evolution, not the Darwin evolution.
And I got Jinzu in the live chat making me work for my clams here. He says it's a clam world. Thank you for that, Jinzu.
Oh my! Oh boy!
I was going to start doing clam. Yeah.
That's where I thought he was going with it. Yeah, on Python.
We also have Chris Kelling, who changed his name in the Zoom chat to One with the Clam. So that's awesome. All right. Well, shall we get on with some more video?
Let's wait. I want to hear the science.
Yes. Let's hear the science.
I'll be waiting for a while.
Kinds and sort. Okay. Because one of the most asked questions that we still get asked, and it's one of the favourite exhibits.
Because you never answer
it.
it.
Live at the Ark.
At the Ark.
And we're inside the Kinds exhibit. We're on the second deck. Actually, if you look outside here, you'll see some of the animals there in the cages. And we're looking right now.
Where are the mosquitoes?
At, some of those big cages here.
Just had one bite me.
The boy mosquito or the girl
as you,
mosquito?
See those? I tell you, it's incredible what our
It doesn't matter. It's
sculptors
a
have
dead
done.
mosquito now.
But what we wanted to do is to talk about that particular question today, and that particular topic of kinds and kinds on the Ark, and how many animals were needed on the Ark.
I believe Dapper had his hand up, so we'll go with Dapper, and then we'll go over to RJ.
Yeah, just real quick, I want to point out that they have the decks ordered wrong. Their bottom deck is deck 1, and then it goes up from there. That's not how decks work. Decks. The first deck is the topmost deck. The second deck is the second most. And if you want to start going up, you get levels. So they actually have a first deck, and I think they have an 01 level. But yeah, they order it wrong, and as someone who was in the Navy, it bugs me.
Do they still don't show for public poop tack, do they?
It's not, as far as I know, it's not really available for like public viewing, but they have, actually I talked to a former Ark Encounter employee on my channel a while back because he left Young Earth Creationism, and I have a show, Leaving Young Earth Creationism. So he said that the little structure on top is mostly storage for like, they've got like chairs and tables and various like projectors and things like that in there, or at least that's what he was there when he was there.
Where did Noah get projectors?
That's a good question. Same place he got all the gopher wood, I guess.
Yeah.
Must be some old Bell and Howell stock.
Yes. That's at least dates back to Noah.
Oh dear.
Thank you,
and we also have RJ with the hand up. He had the drink call.
Yeah. See, I think this is the giraffe kind.
Yeah.
Stall, and you'll notice that they don't have long necks.
They do not.
And that's because, unlike generations of creationists from Dwayne Gish on down who were insisting adamantly that it was impossible to evolve a long-necked giraffe from a short-neck form, evolution is wrong, they decided to make the giraffe kind an okapi-like short-necked animal because they know that there's way too many critters they have to stick on the Ark, so they're going to try to minimize it this way. So they are basically heretical when you switch from the creationism of 1970.
those giraffes are also wearing like a referee suit. They're nothing like an actual reticulated giraffe.
Well, if you're going to be that fussy.
Well, so another question that I would have is, okay, what about the American pronghorn, which is actually in Giraffoidea, which is a slightly bigger category. Can we put the Giraffoidea on the Ark as a Giraffoided kind?
Well, you know, if you're going to have to figure out all the critters that's in the new world, that's going to put their little thinking caps on a little bit too much there, Dapper.
Yeah, why did only the pronghorns go to North America and all the giraffids? Antelope carpidae gets to go to North America. Giraffidae gets to stick around in Africa for reasons.
Well, as we all know, the booking plan for Noah's Ark was worked out in advance reservation. So they made sure that all of their reservations for where they're going to end up were all done in advance, and then you had to make sure that you stayed in the line, have your little paw stamped with the re-entry thing in case you want to get back to Ararat after the flood. But then nobody ever wanted to do that.
Also, the pronghorn was well known to be a buddy of the monkey, which of course all went to South America, and all the humans, or I mean the people, went to Africa. So.
Yeah,
and then from Africa, they went on a rapid sprint to get everywhere else because you had to get huge populations in the Americas within like less than 1,000 years.
Oh yeah, and they needed to carry the corn, maize with them. They had to carry potatoes, and they had to carry all the little endemic animals of the New World, and hummingbirds, and all the other funky little things. They were busy little ones, going up there, rushing up to the Bering Strait, and waiting for the ice age to happen to lower the sea levels enough so that they could burst across in a mad sprint to fill the entire North American continent in a time.
And South American. Don't forget South America.
Oh yeah, that too.
They used that big reed boat that Thor hired on.
Kon-Tiki.
Yeah, Kon-Tiki.
Yeah, well, this would be Kon-Tiki, but spelled C-O-N, as in a con.
I do want to point out a couple of things real quick. We have a $4.99 super chat from Shadow, who says, Shadow, would you like to read your own super chat?
Yes. Clamma, bat, clam man.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. So that counted as 25 clams. So, and I wanted to,
Christ, I wanted to buy some fucking Clamato.
I want to also
That's why you don't make promises like that. Sorry.
I want to thank Al for the suggestion. Al says, you can, for anyone who's curious, you can type clam 40 times in a single chat. So if someone super chats that clam 40 times, it counts as 200. Keep that in mind.
Bitch. You bitch.
So thank you for that, Al.
I'll hit him for you later.
I hate you now.
We did have a couple more hands up, so we'll go over to Furball with the hand up.
Well, as we were walking around here, I see this little cage with the short-necked giraffes. I'd just like to point out that there are 9 different species and subspecies of giraffe, but I only see one cage for giraffes.
Well, that's because all those species happened in just a short time after the flood. It's real easy. It's super fast, non-Darwinian speciation.
Okay, I'm sorry. I completely missed that false science.
We excuse you for your ignorance, Furball.
Yeah, you got to keep up with the current brand of pseudoscience. As we all know, speciation is absolutely impossible, except for the fact that it happens unbelievably fast in Noah's Ark.
Also, Don Giovanni in the live chat says 40,000 clams under the sea. That does not count as 40,000 clams, FYI.
Oh, we know how to convert leagues into clams. Okay, this is important.
You almost had a spit take.
And I was going to have to get a case of Clamato.
Yeah. Oh, dear. And Chris Kelling, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I wanted to talk to RJ about that reservation system. Was it like Southwest Airlines where Hearst-On gets their choice of seats? Or...
Well, judging from reading Genesis, I think Southwest Airlines would be something for them to have aspired to.
Hey, don't knock Southwest. I've ridden them before, and I'm going to stop right there.
Yeah, but you got to bring your own peanuts.
The last time I was on a project that had me traveling around the country, I used Southwest exclusively. But
we also we had TDLane in the Zoom chat change his name to TD Clam. So thank you for that, TDLane. I appreciate that.
We should clam on.
Yes, we should clam on. We're going to clam on. All right. We stalled really well there, though, RJ. I mean, you usually
so, yeah.
You're usually the king of judging our stalling.
Well, we're at the area where the stalls are. We should.
Yeah. See, look at that.
On. So I guess you could say we're Joseph stalling.
We're not gonna say that.
No.
All right, here we go.
177
Could they fit on the
clams.
ark? And
Yeah. Also, keep in mind. First of all, I did promise there was no Claudia tonight, so this is what we're stuck with instead. when I promise no Claudia, it doesn't always mean that there's a better option. And
Can we hurry up with this so that we don't
No.
really give them a chance to get 300 more clams?
and also, whatever our clam count is at the end of tonight, we have to beat it next week, but before you guys are allowed to leave. So keep that in mind. And Furball changed his name to Clamball, so thank you. We have Clamtastic Shadow. All of the clams. All right, let's go.
what we want to do is to talk about what we call Answers Book 5.
Yeah.
Answers Book 5 is the flood of evidence. Actually, the 4 Answers books, see the Answers books here? The 4 Answers books are the biggest selling creation apologetics books in the world. The most asked questions.
Well, I've got to put a drink call on this.
Yes. We'll go
Isn't
with
that your book?
Well, Jackson Weed and I, with the rocks were there, are going into those various answers books. So go ahead and get them, and then get ours and compare notes and laugh your ass off.
The Rocks Were There Volume 1 is available on Amazon right now.
Absolutely. And it alone is as thick as any 2 of those.
Absolutely. Oh dear.
Plus, it's accurate.
And,
Is that thick as in thick or thick as in THICC?
we also have Clamado Pelt with his hand up.
Also, thank you. And these, bear in mind, apologetics, basically lying for Jesus.
But they do it really extensively.
They do.
Super chat.
And TDLane, you had your hand up. TD Clam, excuse me.
As a note, as somebody who's been reading Rocks Were There, I gotta say, the answers books, they aren't worth a single clam.
Oh
the
dear.
answers books really suck.
Well, we had a $2 super chat from Philip Sanders, who says, "Are there any wild clams in this movie?" I don't think we'll see any wild clams on this boat.
No, they do not like the sea critters, because they don't want to think about those at all. Although Although I think they do have an ambulocetus on board their thing, which suggests that all of the whales evolved after the flood, along with the long-necked giraffes. Boy, they were frisky critters.
Although in time for the Romans to be whaling in the Mediterranean Sea, only a couple thousand years later.
Yes, we alluded to that in the Rocks Were There. By they actually had records of right whales hunting by the Romans.
I'd like to know how the oceans remain salty after all of that fresh water rained down.
Well, maybe the waters of the deep were a little bit like a seltzer.
Or maybe they played League of Legends for 5 minutes.
That's true.
Wait, don't you know that legend, Furball? The guy with the salt mill? And he kept spinning it and spinning and spinning, and he couldn't stop it because he didn't pay attention to the guy who gave him the instructions on how to stop it. And that's how the seas became salty.
Yeah, that's as good as Genesis.
That's science
I
right
thought
there.
I thought it was just from millions of years of people pissing in the ocean.
Hold on, did you guys just say League of Legends?
No, I didn't say League of Legends. I said the legend of.
Yeah, I think it's Norse mythology, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Those wacky little Norsemen.
I am the one who said League of Legends.
Yeah.
That's the insult.
Actually, we should say it more pretentiously. The League of Legends.
By the way, side note on that, favorite champion is Ari. You will
That's
not
nice. Let's move on.
Clam Capel.
We also did have an attempted super chat from Bionic Dan, so I will read that out. She says, "Believe me, you don't want to read it." I said, "Say my name, pitiful earth creatures." It was silly. Yes, it is, but still important. So thank you for that attempt. All right.
Or science.
Andrew Brown says, "How many clams could a clam calm if a clam could claim calms?" Wait, what? One too many clams in
calm
there.
Clams or clammy clams?
How many clams could a clam calm if a clam could clam calms? Whew. All
that
right.
was easy for you to say.
We also have a $2 super chat from BM Firmo who says clamming on. All right. Here we go.
Science.
And there's
people
four
asked
books,
today
but
with
you also
detailed
have a flood
answers,
of evidence
and
right
we have
now.
flood of evidence because that's really answers book 5, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, Bodhi, we're here in the kinds exhibit, and this particular book, The Flood of Evidence, you and I did together, and it answers the most asked questions about biblical aspects and scientific aspects concerning the Ark and the Flood.
The
Correct?
Ark and the Flood. That's exactly because these are the questions we get when we go out on the road or when people come to the Ark. So we thought, hey, let's put together a book because a lot of people wanted to have the answers to this. They wanted to have it all in one volume, and
No,
so
we want
put
good
that together. And it's been a
answers.
powerful book. This book has been selling like hotcakes, actually.
It has. People really want those answers, and it equips people.
Yep.
And so I'm actually going to go live on my Facebook here as well, so that if anyone has questions, they can ask us. Hey,
All right.
okay, so, and we cover some of these issues in the book. Somebody said here, why did you make the animals so different than modern day animals? Well,
That's a good question.
there are 2 reasons, right? And you can expand on these. One is we actually wanted people to see some of the animals.
All right. I am going to pause it there for a second just because we did get some super stuff. We had a super chat from Ghostly Enigma who says clam, 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 clam. How many clams is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's all.
50 clams.
A whopping 50 clams. So I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to push my button 50 times.
Jenny, we're already
why not?
the halfway mark.
You make them do all the work, but then you won't put in your effort. God.
So while we're paused real quick, I just want to point out that their book titled "Flood of Evidence" is their smallest answer book. I find that just a little bit ironic.
Well,
I'd also like to criticize.
show.
I'd also like to criticize the lack of quotation marks around evidence.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Or evidences if we want to be really technical.
But the thing is, if you think you're right, why would you need to offset it with quotes?
Yeah.
Actually, wouldn't you need quote marks around the flood and the evidence? I would buy that book maybe.
I mean,
that would be you, someone who is a doubting Thomas.
Look,
These
if they
people are so sure in their belief that it is a fact and therefore does not need to be offset.
Well, I also want to point out that we did have a new member. I can't really read it well. The blue and the... Oh, there we go. Palladius, I think that is.
Yes.
Sorry if I butchered your name. I'm terrible with names.
Especially when they're not actually names.
Yeah. All right. Well, we had a new member from Palladius, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. Who's
What's
doing
going
that?
on?
Who's moistening?
noise.
Want to know.
He's punching the cobra.
Exactly.
Damn it!
Oh dear.
Oh, we made it in almost an hour.
That's true. You're not wrong. And we had Renee in the chat who says, I have nothing but mad props for Sean Hufford. He's been a member of the debunking community for 10 years or more. Well, thank you, Renee.
As do we all.
And did we lose Sean Hufford?
No, I'm actually scouring the internet for my MIDIs that I've done that I've actually uploaded to an old site that's now defunct called thesoundsite.net, and I found an archive that has all of their MIDIs that they had on their website, along with a bunch of others mixed in. So I've actually got a backup of some of my stuff that I've uploaded.
Oh, good.
It's just now it's mixed in with a bunch of stuff that I didn't do.
Aha. Well, I have a question for you. You were here, weren't you, at one point?
I was where?
At the Ark encounter.
At the Ark.
Yes. Yeah.
Is
real place.
Was this as exciting as it looks?
Oh, it's so exciting. Oh my god. I can't not contain the excitement that I've had there.
Oh dear.
Or pass hard on that.
I'm having a hard time getting immersed in this Ark experience. I mean, there's no hay, there's no smell, there's no
right.
Oh, there's
animal-
hay and there's smell, but it's not.
No
the smell
animal
of living
This
things.
is
though, right?
an unbelievably boring video.
Yeah.
Welcome to Answers in Genesis.
We also did have another super chat from Ken Ham's future cellmate for $2. Says clam times 42 to the 69th power. So, yeah, that's going to be 5 clams. That's not
Nice
an
try.
exponential number of
312
clams. And somebody wants to know, Conical Reason says, is clam to the negative 17th a negative clam?
I
No.
knew that
No.
was gonna get
And
worked
are
in
there
there somehow.
anti-clams in antimatter universes?
There would have to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it seems so.
All right, well, let's continue on and see what else they
Yeah, I
have
want
to say.
some science.
Please.
Animals that are in the fossil record
this
that
is
are
movie
alive
night.
today, so they get to experience some animals they've never seen before.
That's right. That's one good
And
reason.
secondly, why can't we have the same sorts of animals we see today? Well, the same species.
Here, let me put it this way.
Okay.
When we picture Noah and his family, do we put a picture of
Yes, Tornado?
Also, I'd like to note that we have 314 of the unnamed word that is currently sitting on our screen. I like it where it is. I don't want to change it, but I'd like to say hi. And second of all, are you actually going to argue that we have the same species now because of a little something known as evolution?
Yes, that's exactly what they're going to argue.
Yes.
Well then, by extension, why are you claiming evolution is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of the world if you're going to say, but it works?
I have an answer for that. Because they're idiots.
No,
For the
it's
same
because
reason.
they're full of
wait.
shit.
No, because
Sean,
they're not
Sean,
idiots.
Sean.
They're con men.
Yes, you're very true.
Lamb man.
Sean's got the line for this. What were they doing?
Well, if I'm guessing, I'm actually barely paying attention, so I'm guessing they.
You still
made
know
stuff
the
up.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. The real reason, though, is because they've realized that given what a crazy number of species actually exist and would have to be on the Ark, even if we just ignore the fact that, yeah, aquatic species would have to be there too, and also all the insects and whatnot, just the vertebrates that are tetrapods, right? Put them all on the Ark, it's way too many. So they've had to try to reduce that number in order to make the whole story not just fall apart, even to the point where they can't believe it. So instead, they've relied on evolution, which has now been so obviously demonstrated to happen that even they can't really deny it. And so it's just a desperate attempt to make this whole story believable even to people who want to believe it. Because if you take it very seriously, even people who want to believe it won't.
Interesting.
I'm a Christian and I can't accept the flood because there's just no scientific evidence. This is coming from a Christian, mind you.
Yeah, well, the majority of Christians do not believe in a literal worldwide flood that wiped out all life on Earth except what was on the Ark. I mean,
A local flood, I can swing. A local flood, that I'd be willing to say happened. But a global flood? Fuck no. I lived in Tornado Alley. I should know a few things about meteorology. There's literally not enough water on the Earth to cause a worldwide storm capable of flooding the Earth past Mount Everest.
but you see, according to the rapid continental plate drift, or whatever we're calling it right now, I think they're calling it catastrophic plate tectonics. See, there weren't very many mountains before the flood. And then as underneath the floodwater, the continents were sprinting across the Earth, somehow dissipating that heat into space without killing everyone.
Yeah, generating enough heat to liquefy the entire surface of the planet.
Right. Yeah, see, all of these, the first order objections that you get, like, oh, how did you get this much water? Creationists have usually gotten to, like, the first obvious things that you say is like, hey, wait, this doesn't work. It's their explanations that then you have to get down into those, like, well, where did all the heat go? Or what about these animals that you say didn't have to be on the Ark, couldn't have survived your flood scenario? You have to dig a little bit deeper because they've come up with excuses for all the quick ones, like, is there enough water? They say, well, yeah, of course, because there weren't as many, the mountains weren't as tall and the oceans weren't as deep. okay, why? And then that's where they get the real problems come in.
Interesting.
And of course, my big question would be, yeah, you say that, and you realize that you'd have to grow a mountain in 4,400 years, or even less, like 1 year.
Yeah, a year.
You've got massive heat generation, enough to liquefy the entire surface of the planet to an extreme degree. Not only that, but you've got a massive die-off in all the marine environments because of the massive desalination caused by raining that much fresh water down into the oceans, which of course is going to generate massive amounts of algae blooms. And never mind the fact that basically all the land that's able to be farmed is now under fucking water.
Well, to loosely paraphrase the rate study, that would require, quote, exotic solutions.
AKA magic.
Magic, yeah. They just fall back to God did it. Don't worry about it.
Well, we have RJ with the hand up, so let's head over there.
Yeah. Before Tornado called the drink call, I was really anticipating that Hodge was going to talk about a thing that is a big problem as well, which is the issue of how many of the animals on the Ark went extinct, of which by their own count, over half of them went extinct, which means that it was a really bad preservation mechanism. So I want to see whether or not he brings that little puppy up.
And I would like to point out that we just had 170 clams in a super chat.
360. 5 more. We'll have one for every day of the year.
Hold on. I got to update the clam counter.
Yeah, one.
360 plus.
Yeah, one for each degree in a circle. You don't have one for each day of the year.
360 plus
No,
170.
that's why we need 5 more for that.
Oh.
6 if we're counting this year. It
5
was
and
a
a
leap
quarter.
year.
Oh, and hold on. They also said, oh, look, napalm in the Ark. And there's another interesting side note there that I'm going to go into because they'd have to take a whole bunch of feed onto the Ark, and that means there's going to be a whole bunch of animals, and all those animals are going to be crapping. Do you know what the main smelling component in chordate and especially species is?
Methyl mercaptan? Something
No,
like that?
especially mammal species, and mammals are going to be the primary things that are going to be on that Ark. You're going to have to deal with hydrogen sulfide, which is toxic, and it inhibits cells' ability to utilize oxygen for respiration. It's also flammable and explosive, and that Ark is probably going to have to be lit up at night so that people are going to be able to do things. And what happens when you illuminate that Ark and ignite the hydrogen sulfide?
Well, now, they just kept fireflies around for illumination, and they had really wonderful ventilation that they don't describe in great detail. I mean, these are all easily resolved if you don't think about them.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about them, and all that hydrogen sulfide is going to turn that wooden boat-shaped barn into a hair-trigger bomb.
Well, anyway, a couple things. So we broke 500 clams.
Wow.
We're up to 534 clams.
That didn't take long.
It did not.
Fuck all of you.
I want to say thank you to
These
Ghostly.
are Roman clams were at the fall of the empire.
I want to say thank you to Ghostly Enigma for $10, who super chatted clam. Oh look, napalm in the Ark. Clam. 34 clams, I believe it was, which accounted for 170 clams. So thank you for that. I do definitely appreciate that.
Okay, a deal's a deal. So I will go
is.
out and I will find a consumable product of Clamato. Please keep in mind I live in the middle of nowhere, and I have no idea if these country folk happen to have any Clamato on any of the shelves of any of the grocery stores
Amazon
around
has
here. But I'm not going to do too much checking because it's 30 to 50 miles between grocery stores out here.
Jeez.
So
You can contact the illicit Clamato market, Clamato smugglers and things.
I
could do that. I will.
I must warn you.
So
that
I'll do what I can. I promise.
All right.
I must warn you, Jenny, that the people of Clamato had added 12 grams of sugar. So they clearly thought, well, look, let's improve the taste by adding sugar instead of thinking, let's improve the taste by removing the clam.
We also had
then it would just be 8-0.
I gotta say that Ken and Bodie are the worst karaoke band I've ever heard.
They look like they're about to break out into some terrible karaoke tune.
Bear karaoke for my brother.
All I can hear is them doing Meatloaf going, I would do anything for love.
Oh dear.
But I wouldn't
Well,
do
we
that.
also had another super chat, $10 from Glober Mom, who says, how many clams must a clam walk down before you can call him a clam? The clamser, my clam, is clamming in the clam. The clamser is clamming in the clam. So that counted for another 50 clams. So thank you for that, Glober
And
Mom.
do not count yourself a clam unless you have walked in the clam's shoes.
Look, I'll shut this noise down right now. If it hits 1,000, I'm not getting 2 tornadoes. Okay?
Wow.
But if we get to 5,000, will you get 2?
Well, that'd be the end of the world.
5,000?
Yeah, 5,000. Uh-huh.
You gotta push that button 5,000 times, Jess.
Hell no, that's why you open up the
Man
text
was not
file.
this much.
I'm
Edit
just
it.
happy we're not drinking for every clam because I don't have enough beer.
We'd all die at
Okay,
this point.
I will do it if we hit 5,000 clams
Okay.
that come through on super chats.
Ah, that's a lot of clams.
Yeah.
Yes, that is.
I don't think
Make
it's
it
water
worse.
in California.
If we were drinking on clams.
Yeah, I'm glad we don't drink
What-
on clams.
What
Well,
about brachiopods, though? Because creationists can't tell the difference between clams and brachiopods.
Yeah, well, yeah, Ken Hovind sure can't.
Oh dear.
They can't tell the difference between a tortoise and a giraffe.
I
We
thought
had
you said TARDIS. I got worried.
we had
Probably
a.
not that either.
We're going to go to the 2 hands up, and then we're going to continue. So TDLane or TD Clam.
Ooh, now I need to remember what the point I was going to make was.
That happens
Well, you
often
better
around
clam
here.
up then.
Oh, no,
Oh.
I think I got it. As a note on the animals that they had to bring on, not only did they have to go through hyper-evolution, they also have the immense issue of, having to actually feed them. And what did they exactly have to bring on? Good luck figuring out.
Well, as
Because
we
their
all
hive chart is
know,
so
the
generic.
animals went into a torpor or a stupor or
Ah.
estivated, so they didn't have to be fed so much.
Ah, yes, of course, they got their
Convenient.
animals drunk.
Yeah, simple as that.
Anyways,
There's always a rational out if you are willing to make up shit.
at least it isn't Chlamydia albers.
Yeah. I warned you that just because
how
it's
did they
not
go-
Claudia Albers doesn't mean it's not going to be anything better.
That's true.
How did they grow eucalyptus trees for the koalas?
I've made that point. Not only do you have to grow the eucalyptus trees, koalas actually won't eat eucalyptus leaves unless they're on a branch-like structure. So you can't actually just go and pick the leaves and give them to the koalas. Koalas are too dumb to realize that that's food unless they can pull it off of a
Well,
branch.
the creationists insist that they will eat other stuff, and it's only now that they've gotten kind of finicky.
Oh, they must have evolved that in recent years.
Or devolved, you see, they devolved.
Exactly.
There may be some truth to that. I used to only eat fish sticks, and now I'll eat salmon.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Remember, the eucalyptus trees were the only plants that were catapulted in their ballistic trajectory volcanic eruptions that threw the koalas to Australia. So,
But then they'd also have to grow all that bamboo for the pandas because that's all they eat.
You're gonna kill me, RJ.
Well, okay, so
and
I think
who milked the cows? And
Well,
where do they
so
put all the cheese?
I
and
think
who
what they're
let
gonna
the
go-
dogs out?
I think what their actual answer would be for those questions, though, is that since they usually go with family roughly as the kind, they're just going to say that pandas evolved from more generalized bear kind, and then the ancestral condition for bears is to be omnivores with a pretty heavy emphasis on meat. And for the cows, they'll probably go with like what was on the ark was probably more like, you know, the wild European aurochs or something. And so they were only really needing to be milked when they were, you know, actually in the process of having a calf that needed milk, you know, like a normal animal, instead of just producing absurd amounts of milk all day, every day, because humans are assholes.
Yeah. Now, Dapper, don't rationalize too much in their mode, because otherwise your brain will start hurting.
Well, couple things. So we'll go over to Chris Kelling, but first we had a $2 super chat from Bionic Dance, who says, "I am Bionic Clams." Yes, thank you for that. I do appreciate that.
Nice.
We'll go over to Chris Kelling, Shadow, Furball, and then back to our movie.
Okay, you guys, wow. You ain't guys never gonna hit 5,000.
Don't
He said that about
tempt
500.
No, 5,000 is the new one.
Right, but I'm just saying that was also said about hitting 500.
Yes.
So, you know.
We also had a super chat for $10 from Palladius, who says, "I wanted to send 50 clams, but super chat won't let me." So we'll go with 5 clams, and then I'll put 45 clams on the counter.
On the bionic clam, is it smarter, faster, clammier?
I think so.
Okay.
All right, 670 clams.
And I believe that's pronounced Palladius.
Palladius, right? I think you're right. I believe so. I hope so. Shadow.
Yes. So, Philip Sanders said he wanted to do a super chat, but he couldn't hit the character max. But he wanted to say, "Clam, clam, 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 clam,
clam, clam." Oh dear.
Oh dear. Well, thank you for that anyway, Philip. And Furball.
We talked about this earlier with the speciation. Apparently, you know, there's only one species of every, you know, or kind of every species on the Ark. How did we get 350,000 different species of beetle?
Oh, they don't think about the insects. Don't think about the insects. Those are not clean. They're not unclean. They're just nasty little vermin. They don't really. They just fended for themselves. Don't think about them.
Yeah, they don't even think that the beetles were on the Ark, so they just kind of hand wave the whole problem. They'll just say something silly like, "Oh, well, maybe not that many species of beetles went extinct in the first place. Why not? What's your mechanism for survival of all these beetles? They don't really have a good one." Floating.
Don't get us started on nematodes.
Oh goodness.
Also, speaking of being sexist heresy, punishable by death. Do not spend bread heresy.
Hey Jenny, you okay over there? You sound
Yeah,
like you're
no, I'm
inhaling
fine.
your microphone.
No, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I fixed this.
Furball.
Oh, that was me.
Yes. Oh, that was it.
Oh, so
Okay.
you were having a seizure. Okay.
Chris Kelling, one with the clam.
Yes. Try to get this out again before get stepped on. One of the things that has always bothered me, a couple of the things that have always bothered me. One of them is the fact that this is all part of the Torah as well. With the why does not the Jewish people get blamed for the stupidity, or are they just smart enough they don't?
They've never played a major role in arguing the point. All of this comes up because of Ellen White's Seventh-day Adventism at the turn of the 20th century, and the rest of the denominations really didn't make a big deal out of it. Neither did the Jews, to some extent. Neither even do the Muslims, who are also drawing on the first books of the Bible.
Well, the Muslim thing is a little weird. There's a lot of Muslim anti-evolution stuff. It's usually very parasitical on Christian anti-evolution stuff.
Yeah,
but the thing is, but the thing is, because the Quran is so much more vague about, well, almost everything except being bad at math. They can accommodate a lot more sort of diversity of like how old the Earth is, exactly when the flood is supposed to have taken place, all this stuff. Because even though the Quran is heavily dependent on the Old Testament and to some extent the New Testament, because they say that those books are corrupted or whatever, they don't actually have to really account for anything that's actually in them. They can just say, well, it's
core
not
theology.
Right. So they get this whole wishy-washy, like you get an imam who'll talk about how evolution is an atheistic doctrine or something, but they very rarely actually put out anything of note in terms of creation literature.
To show the range, you've got places like Saudi Arabia, which is officially anti-evolutionist in their doctrines, and then you go over to Iran, and they're still teaching evolution. They never modified any of it from the Shah's time.
Yeah, there's a lot of diversity, but yeah, there's a fair few Muslim creationists out there.
Then the second point I wanted to make on that was, and it's the same problem I have with having two progenitors for the human race, is the fact that where's the genetic diversity to the point where you can have a viable gene pool?
Ooh, I can answer this. Create heterozygosity!
Yes.
Jason Reed!
Adam and Eve had a perfect genome of unspecified characteristics, and that had only slightly deteriorated down to the time of Noah and the kids. So they had largely perfect genomes. And then, of course, they were able to do that incest thing on a colossal scale.
Of course,
but they had two sons, and one of them was killed by the other. So how did the race...
Well, to be fair, the narrative then does say that they went on to have other children. So
yeah, but where did their wives come from?
Presumably the other children.
I guess.
Oh.
So incest.
Yeah, you can. So you find that in apologetics at a lot of the conservative seminaries and that they're perfectly okay with the idea that the generations in the Bible were incestuous.
I don't think you can get an eventual population of 7 billion people from.
Well, if they breed like bloody rabbits.
Yeah, I guess.
So what they usually do is they pick some.
And I am a Christian, by the way, so.
Fair enough. I mean, what they usually do is they pick some growth factor or growth rate and use an exponential growth curve. And they'll say, okay, if humans reproduce at, like, say, an increase of population of 2% per year or whatever it is, then starting with 8 people 4,000 years ago, we can get to whatever the current day population is. And so basically,
really easy, yeah.
They just solve for whatever that percentage increase per year is by doing the algebra.
But then they have to have a different rate to account for the fact that you needed enough people really not long after Noah to like build stuff and go out and populate the world. So they got a problem there. I did like the first 75 years, if every single woman gave birth once a year and they had a nice neat 50-50 male-female distribution, and as soon as a girl became 13, she started to pop out kids, and the women continued to be fertile and have babies into their 70s. You could easily generate about 50,000 people in 75 years, but 99% of them are incestuous.
Yeah, and those are absurdly generous conditions. Anyway.
Yeah.
You really have to
so
be.
They would have needed lots of orthodontics.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole thing is,
just slightly implausible, and I don't think that Bodhi or Ken are going to talk much about that.
Yeah, and let's go over to Jen. You had your hand up.
Yes. This goes back a ways in the video because nobody would call on me and everybody just kept babbling.
Sorry.
And you know, I felt completely hurt and rejected. But I'll continue on anyway.
Okay.
If you can feed a cat clam meat, can you feed a clam cat meat?
Ooh. Yes. Yes is the answer. I think so.
That's the circle of life.
Hey, you know, there's actually a euphemism for cat meat. It's roof hair, and HARE, because in Europe,
Chinese
in times of starvation, in like times of famine, it turns out that if once you cut off the head, the tail, and the feet, a dressed rabbit and a dressed cat look pretty similar. So butchers would sell roof hair, not labeling it as such.
There's a scene in Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days where Phileas Fogg was served a thing in India, and he was pretty sure it was cat, not a rabbit.
Also, cat meat lacks important nutrients, and if it forms a major part of your diet, you will be malnourished. So there you go.
Okay. So
Good to
don't
know.
eat your pussy.
I mean, I have 4 of them. How much malnutrition would I be getting here?
I'm not that flexible.
We're glad to hear that.
All right. Well, we're gonna continue on because we haven't watched this video in like 20 minutes.
I thought it was going to work longer.
We've stalled longer than the actual video is.
That's true, boy. And we're 692
We kept it
clams.
interesting, though. That was the nice thing.
Yes, we did. Y'all did a
Okay,
good job
let's
of stalling
get some
well.
science.
All
All
right.
right, yeah, let's get this creation science.
Yeah, here we go, guys.
Ken Ham up there.
I hope not.
No, because Ken Ham is a descendant ultimately of Noah.
Yeah.
And yes, we have variations within the kind. Clearly, Noah's a person, you're a person, I'm a person, and so forth.
Right.
But there is that
Everybody's a
variation.
person.
The same sort of thing is kind of
That's
the
debatable.
situation with the animals. We have 2 cats, for example. You like cats?
Cats. Here, over here.
Over here, yeah, we got
This is a
cats.
cat.
And,
in fact,
Nice
this exhibit
segue.
Big
This
pussy.
exhibit talks about leopards. And
Yes, tornado.
That's an angry pussy.
That one would have to be sort of that would have to be one of the feliforms, actually, because we're talking about the descendant of basically all cats.
And maybe civets.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's one of the things they don't like to go into much. Is what about these things that are almost cats?
Yeah.
What about them? And they're just like,
Close enough.
They snub the myosids completely.
I liked that when they. I liked when he said that I'm human, you're human. My first thought was that's debatable.
Yeah, we're not at all sure of that.
We know
Yeah.
you're
a DNA test there.
but whether or
Find out
not
whether
you're human.
Yeah.
I'm still,
About that
bubbling
Sasquatch, Ken?
I'm still 84% sure or so that Ken Ham isn't a werewolf. So
Maybe Ken Ham is one of those lizard people.
the shapeshifting ones.
Yeah,
no,
I think that.
no. He's clam people.
Clamtillion
Maybe-
overlord.
And if you were a shapeshifter, why would you choose a lizard?
That shape. I mean, really, that's a pretty. They must have all been taken.
Yeah.
Maybe Ken Ham is a gene stealer.
Oh, that could be. Like my blue jeans.
Oh no, like genetics.
No, he's a gene stealer, and he keeps it all in his belly there. That's why it's so big.
All right. Well, we're going to continue on.
the fishing cat and the lion and the lynx and the African wildcat and
Right.
the domestic cat.
Cheetahs, things like that. These are all modern cats, like lions or even domestic house cats, but ultimately those types of animals could interbreed with each other and hybridize. So what it was
Drink.
Yes, Tornado?
Wrong. Yeah. Wrong.
Yeah, very
You're wrong.
Very wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah. So I'm gonna need a citation for the Panthera felis hybrids. Otherwise, no, they can't all hybridize. So you show me that house cat tiger mix or a bobcat jaguar or something. No,
Fishing cat.
it's
Yeah.
not reasonable to say that all felines can interbreed.
I may be a little bit sick
thinking-
and sadist, but I kind of want to see how that's going to go down with a domestic cat and, like a tiger. How's that work?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Is a Maine Coon cat and a tiger that could work.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you can go with like one of the smallest examples of Panthera, right? Like maybe like a mountain lion / puma or whatever you're gonna call it, right? And then get one of the largest felis species, like a bobcat or a lynx or something. From a physical standpoint, there probably isn't a mating problem at that point. But I would like to see that hybrid.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, if the two did love each other very much, what I'd end up seeing is either A, the male is completely impotent, or B, the female is rendered a splatter.
I have a question. Who punches whose cobra? Does the domestic cat punch the cobra, or does the cheetah punch the cobra?
Well, they can decide that.
Which one has the cobra?
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
cheetahs typically get somebody else to punch their cobra.
Gotcha.
because they're cheetahs.
Okay.
Exactly.
They
And
never prosper.
have any of you heard cats getting it on in the alley? Could you
Yes.
imagine a cat and a puma getting it on?
Can
That
you
would be the
imagine-
craziest sounds ever.
Can you
I
imagine
imagine
a puma
there would be a lot of
not
deaths.
going after the giraffe?
I think there would only be one sound associated with a puma and a house cat, and that would be gulp.
That
I need to.
It would be a swallow, and not the sexy kind.
That's true. Oh dear. All right, let me scooch back over. That's a long time ago. TD Clam.
Their phylogeny is completely wrong. It's just completely wrong. The closest relatives to domestic cats are leopard cats, and then pumas, then lynxes, then ocelots, then caracals, then bay cats, then panthera.
Well, they also
And
don't
theirs is
show.
completely wrong.
They also don't show any of these species having a common ancestor other than the one thing on the ark. Like,
Right.
it all
Which
just
is
goes
wrong.
back. Yeah, like, you don't think that maybe like the lynx and the African wildcat maybe had a common ancestor that came after this original cat that you imagine? No? Okay, I guess not.
Yeah, no, apparently not.
My God.
It just immediately speciated into a crazy number of species without any intermediate steps, I guess.
Yeah.
And why the hell would a clouded leopard be over there?
because he's cloudy.
His judgment has been clouded.
Claudia leopard.
Well, wouldn't that be more likely closer related to a snow leopard?
Presumably, yeah.
Depends on weather conditions.
I got another question. I
well,
got another question.
Let's hold on. Wait. Let's go to RJ first. We'll go through the list and then come
I
back
was
around.
noticing the little critter in the middle, Smilodon. Do we all know what that is?
The saber-toothed tiger.
Bingo! And there were a bunch of saber-toothed forms that developed over time. They were a very common element in there. Now, what are the genomes of that alleged little cat critter that they have in their box representing the one that's on the ark, from which one could generate in less time, only 4,500 years, in fact, way less, because they were picking up leopards and all of that for the Roman Colosseum and all of that. They've got records of a lot of these things they're noticing. So they've really only got about maybe 1,000 to 1,500 years, absolute max, to generate all of these forms. And why are the Smilodons showing up as fossils, but we don't find fossils of ocelots and clouded leopards and African wildcats and all of that? And can we radiocarbon date them to 6,000?
RJ, I can answer that.
Yeah.
Well, Sean can probably answer it better, but it's something along the lines of they're making make believe stuff.
And note that there's an entire family, Nimravidae, that they don't bother to talk about because they're so close to being cats that it takes an expert examining their inner ear bones to figure out which family it belongs to.
So
But
if I
not
can
a
remove
mention-
most of the data field and trim everything down and not offer any documentation or details so anybody watching the exhibit could ever fact check them on it, they can make their kinds look really plausible.
Yep. But once you know just a little bit more than the average, just Joe off the street about these animals, it suddenly just kind of falls apart.
Yeah, why aren't we detecting genetic entropy in all the extant felids too?
Is AIG up on the genetic entropy? I don't even know if that's actually one of their arguments.
They allude to it a little bit, so it pops up. I mean, Samford shows up at AIG and also at ICR, and their various minions bounce into them. So
AIG and an insurance company and a bad one at that point.
No, different initials. Just like the NRA could either be the National Recovery Administration, the National Rifle Association, or the people in Northern Ireland.
I thought it was the NCA, the National Clam Association.
Oh, yeah, there we are.
No, hold on.
And we don't even want to know what the rest of the letters are in YMCA. We know what the C is.
I was going to say, you could also argue that the NRA stands for Nincompoop Retards Anonymous.
Ooh, 707 clams. I bet that won't fly.
We also had Shadow, Clamtastic Shadow with the hand up.
Okay, this may sound stupid, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is there actually a difference between an African wildcat, a lion, and a cheetah?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a whole other species. They don't all. It's not a genre.
Cheetahs, you can even tell just either by looking at the skeleton or the critter that they are the fastest of the felids, and so their limb proportions are very different from that of lions and fishing cats, which apparently are closely related to them.
Yeah, so the African wildcat is actually a specific species in the genus Felis, and it is the ancestor. It's the wild population from which domesticated cats descend, and they look a lot like sort of a domesticated cat with a sort of cryptic patterning like spots and stripes. And they're a distinct species that is definitely not just a general term for felines in Africa.
Okay, so would they be more related, like, to the Norwegian ferals that they have?
Yeah, basically. There's a lot of like old world wildcats that are all fairly closely related. So like European fishing cat or various wildcats in Northern Europe, as well as African wildcats. There's various Asian wildcats. They're all very closely related. And it just so happens the African wildcat is genetically the closest to the domesticated cat, which has since spread everywhere.
Oh, and by the way, absolutely none of that research has ever been done by any creationists.
Also, as a side note, a lot of wildcat species are in fact endangered. My friend.
Well, I thought I saw a putty tat.
Okay. Because usually when I hear African and wildcat, I think either lion or cheetah. So it's good to know the difference. That's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, I just keep hearing Monty Python, African or European swallow. So.
Well, actually, it was until we could easily sequence genetics. There was a really big debate in cat science, if you will,
because
as
the
to whether
morphology is so similar.
Yeah, whether European or African wildcats, because you look at the skeletons and the coats and all that stuff, and it's a toss-up.
That was the problem with the two varieties of pandas, the red panda and the giant panda, that they're not actually closely related.
Well, they're both Arctoidians.
Yeah.
That's something.
There we go.
Well, let's head on over to Furball with the hand up.
I just want to throw a flag down on the field and say that historically on this channel, the panel has been a bunch of idiots and RJ. and now,
I do not give up my status as an idiot, nor do I exclude expertise from our various people on the panel.
That's not the problem, RJ. Is that you're the smart one that makes us feel dumb, but we just play along like we understand what you're saying. But now this week, Jess, you bring on Dapper Dino and TDLane. We don't need three smart guys on here.
Hey! I'm just keeping you guys on your toes. That's it.
Oh, keep the smart people. I like learning new things.
Yes, but
right?
Are those going to be prehensile toes or not?
I have to say that the stalls are much more knowledgeable when we have them all on. So at least we're not just stalling with nonsense. We're stalling with knowledge.
There's science going on.
The irony with things like these creation museums and the Ark Encounter is they put terminology up that actually blows their arguments to smithereens if you start exploring it closely, so that you can use their own captions against them.
All right, well, let's go over.
The chat is demanding that we play.
Yeah. Let's head on over to Tornado again, real quick, and then we'll get Jen in there because she's got her hand up now.
Yeah, my big thought regarding all of these cats was, gee, it's almost as if there had to be some mechanism to cause them to rapidly diversify from one specific philia form. I
Evolution?
wonder what that could be. Exactly, Dapper Dino.
I mean, according to Creationists, all of God's work, all of it.
Yeah. Jen, you had your hand up?
Yes, I did. Meowing on, please.
Ooh, oh.
Yes.
5 points for bad pun and 6 points for appropriateness.
We're going to clam on as soon as I get my buttons
Clam on,
fixed
clam
here.
off.
All right.
10 points for the house jetty door.
I can get my window back. Okay, there we go.
Had two cats on board the Ark, The cats we have today are the descendants and with the
Okay,
variation.
the Bible says Noah took 2 of each kind, 7 of some,
right,
or 7 pairs of some.
And that word for kind is the
but
word
2 of
mean.
each kind. And the word for kind shows up in Genesis 1 when God made the animals, the birds, after their kind. And it's the Hebrew word
mean. M-I-N.
M-I-N.
Right.
And
it's not a mean word.
It's not
well,
a
I
mean
guess
word,
it is
no.
a mean word.
And we would say that the
so funny.
Hebrew word mean equates more with phylum or class, family, genus, order.
Right, it would actually be
Species.
probably closer to the family level.
So phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. We would say in most instances,
except for us,
kind.
Yeah.
According to
Hold
the
on,
Bible.
one second. I have a couple things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I called drink for that. That's how this works, Dapper.
Oh, sorry about that. Drink.
Much better, thanks.
Okay, couple quick things. One, if you spell a word in a language that uses a different writing system, in whatever your transliteration is for the Latin alphabet, I'm going to call you out as an idiot. Mean is not spelled M-I-N because Hebrew doesn't use the Latin alphabet. None of those letters occur in that word. Learn to spell in Hebrew or shut up about Hebrew.
Yeah, putz.
Yeah, it's really not that hard. The Hebrew alphabet has 28 letters? Just learn them.
And they got names. But
Shadow.
their audience for and stuff.
Yeah. So the other one is
Oy vey.
it's like the family level kind is completely arbitrary. There's no reason to pick family. It just is that most people are familiar with a lot of the mammal families, basically. Like, people are familiar with felines being a group of animals. They're familiar with, Ursidae, the bears. That's literally the only reason they picked them, is because people know the common names for these families.
Yeah, well, and it was the traditional thought for kinds back in the day was pretty much at the family level. And they're forced into it for multiple reasons, because if they try to get all the species on the ark or all the genera, there ain't nearly enough room. So they've really got to move up to the family and sometimes even higher taxon levels for a lot of those extinct forms.
Oh, I heard their zookeeper call frogs a kind. Just the whole group.
Yeah, the whole group. Yeah.
Frogs are a kind now. So at that level, you might as well say that there's an entire, Arcontan kind, so colugos and lemurs and chimpanzees.
I've heard that frog argument croaked.
Actually, at one point, I believe I heard a creationist. Actually, I think it was the same one. It was AIG Zookeeper. Give a definition for some kind that was so broad that you could just say that every single mammal evolved from Noah. Why not?
If they keep it up, eventually they're going to have all life on Earth as one gigantic barraman.
Actually, lemurs. Let me remember this. Listen out. Lemurs, prairie dogs, meerkats. What was the other one on there? Quokkas and koalas are all related. They're in the cute kind. They're so cute.
They are cute.
I wanted to point out Shadow's terrible question in the live chat. Shadow said, "Did he brew or she brew?" Ha.
Ooh.
Ha.
Oh.
Ha.
Or gender neutral.
Yes.
I actually remember I remember some rather amusing letter from a historical linguist who studied English, going off about
not a cunning linguist.
Well, they may have been cunning. I'm not sure, but it was all about how badly people misunderstand the evolution of the English word man, and also how often they mix it up with the words derived in English from Latin manus, meaning hand. And it was pretty great, because you get a lot of ridiculous things there, why does human have the word man in it? It's like, I don't know, maybe it's because in Old English, mann, which was the spelling, was literally the word for human. And if you wanted to say male human, you had to say wereman. And if you wanted to say female human, you had to say withman. Oh, it's crazy. It's almost like linguists know what the heck's going on.
And in German today, mann is man.
Huh. Interesting.
No, wait. If it's mann, then what happened to red man and blue? What happened to red man and blue man? And what is with all the heavies and scouts and
Not
stuff.
worth a tomato.
Red men went into politics on the right wing of things, and blue men became a music group, with drums and
in
stuff.
Las Vegas. Yeah.
Well, we had another super chat, $1.99 from Vandalia, 1998, who says, "Why do the clean animals get less of a bottleneck?" Yeah, I've noticed that.
Well, because the bottle thing goes into the bottle easier.
So, from what I understand, the actual explanation that I've heard from Creationists is that they don't actually get much less of a bottleneck because the extra ones were taken on explicitly for sacrificial purposes.
Ah.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because as we all know, the creator of the universe, after making like nebulas and black holes, really gets a thrill out of burnt animal flesh.
Well, the thing is, though, RJ, that's all just an illusion. We can't, those stuff don't exist yet because, you know, the universe is too young for that light to have been real. So most of those black holes and things that you see out there, they're just movies that God puts on for us.
Well, that does save on a lot of overhead.
Well, I demand some better popcorn then.
Yeah. Which came from the New World maze, which somehow or other the people in the New World had access to, but none of other Noah's kids.
All right. Well, we're going to move on.
Yes.
Can we move on a lot?
We'll try. We're gonna try our best. All right. Let's get this up here.
Okay,
and
everybody, contain yourselves.
Over here. All right. Here we go.
That means you, Tornado.
Most cases, not all instances. We do have instances where it is genus or particularly species,
Or
and
it
in
could
one
be
case we know it's an order.
like elephants.
Like with the elephant kind, that's
So in
part
here,
of that kind.
here we have the cats, and there is one cat kind, right? The family Felidae.
Yep.
Okay, and the same with dogs. There's one dog kind,
There's one
Canidae,
dog kind.
right? And you have all the different species of dogs.
Right.
So, in other words, the dog that went on the ark, that doesn't look like any dog I've seen
You know,
today.
it really does, and it's kind of small too. Because remember, you take the juveniles on board Noah's Ark. There's no sense in taking the older senior citizens, I guess, on
More
board the Ark to
rational
repopulate
moves.
the Earth afterwards. So they take the smaller
Well, God,
ones.
it's whoever God sent, you know.
That's
And I
right.
suspect he wouldn't have sent the real old ones.
These guys
That's
are so
right. It makes
full
a
of
little bit more
shit.
sense on that. So here at the Ark, we tried to do juveniles in as many instances as we could. So
Oh, you do
God sent
juveniles.
young ones, Richard.
Careful. We have wolves. We have coyotes or coyotes, depending on how you want to say that sort of thing. We have all these different domestic dogs. These are just the modern variations of the two dogs that were on board Noah's Ark. So, yeah, it was a good question.
And that's one of the questions that we answer in.
Yes, Tornado.
So, only 2 dogs then? I thought they were clean animals.
Well, you have to wash them up first.
Yeah.
Most dogs need a bath once in a while.
How is anything that licks their own butthole considered a clean animal?
I don't know. All right, we're gonna continue on.
You know, but Furball, you know why they do that, right?
Why is that?
Because they can.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Okay.
All right, well let us continue on,
I don't think
shall
we're
we?
going to get any biocids, though.
Here we go.
In
the book.
The Flood of Evidence.
Correct.
And you can see up here, as we go through the exhibit here, how could Noah fit all the animals on the ark? And
shoehorn.
We want people to understand how many were needed. Actually, the deck below us, there's a cutaway exhibit of the ark.
Yes.
And we've got a list of all the kinds that our researchers have actually put together.
And that was a multi-year project with a
Were they
multitude
using the
of
Land Before
scientists
Time
and
font?
researchers who really dove into that subject.
I think
and
so.
we've overestimated the number of
We
kinds.
overestimated.
Looks like
and that's
it,
what we
yeah.
want people to realize. We didn't try to overestimate. What we tried to do was be reasonable but have an overestimate.
And one of the reasons we did that is because there are extinct kinds, but you can't
Correct.
see them interbreed.
That's right.
And so what we list as separate
Why are they
kinds might actually
extinct?
be the same kind.
Stop lying.
And then today, for instance, bats.
That's
There's
never
lots of
gonna
species
happen.
of bats, but we haven't seen them all.
Oh, I got to
interbreed.
stop him for a
That's right.
drink
They've
here
been
because there's an important
probably-
piece of information.
Yes, RJ.
Yeah, you'll notice they mentioned about that list that they made up. They're so proud, so wanting everyone to see it that they've never made it available other than just in a blurry picture at their thing, and they've never done any articles on it at AIG. They don't post it on their website. They don't offer documentation as to how they arrived at it. That's how much they like to do science in quotation marks.
Well, your science can't be debunked if you just never publish it.
That's true. That does make it much clearer, yeah.
That's true. Furball, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to
Furzballs.
point out that I want to point out that they mentioned that they wanted to be reasonable, and like half the chat chimed in. What the fuck do you mean you want to be reasonable?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also like
they are.
One thing I didn't comment on it, but they're like, oh, maybe one kind is as big as an order, like with Proboscidea. The reason they do that is because people only are aware of 2 elephants in the world, even though there are actually 3 species of elephants currently extant. But you do not have to go far back into the fossil record to find a whole plethora of proboscideans that makes that whole idea seem a little bit crazy.
And there are examples of humans hunting them in the New World. Now, is that before or after the flood?
The New World used to have several species of proboscideans with ranges that
extinct
slightly overlapped.
Extinct horses, too.
Horses, even according to AIG, I would think, horses evolved in the New World. There were probably, we have fossil record for a fair few horse species in the New World, but the fossil record
put a
incomplete.
Dinohippus in the Ark encounter. They put a Dinohippus as the ancestral horse kind. That's an evolutionary ancestor. Functionally, again, they are accepting huge swaths of evolution that the creationists of Dwayne Dish's era would have considered absolutely appalling.
And of course, Dinohippus is almost indistinguishable from concurrently evolving rhinoceroses. So
do they claim to have any type of mastodon or mammoths on there, even though they're not around today?
No, they would have all come from that little itty bitty Dinohippus in only a short time.
This would have been the Proboscideans.
So it would have evolved into that and then become extinct.
Yes, it would have evolved into this whole host of things like Platybelodon and
and some that were flash frozen during the Ice Age.
Yeah, all of this. Also, by the way, one little drum I have to beat. Mammoths are elephants because they share a more recent common ancestor with the Asian elephant than the Asian elephant does with the African elephant. So stop telling people that mammoths and elephants are different things. Mammoths were a species of elephants.
They had sebaceous glands, even though Kent Hogan didn't know.
It's true. But that's completely irrelevant. It's just one of those things that bugs me when people are like, oh, what about mammoths? And they differentiate them from elephants like they aren't nested within Elephantidae, which they are.
I'd like to see him figure out how they could get the Gomphotheres and these ones with these colossal weird tooth structures in that in such a ridiculously short frame of time.
Yeah, there are so many proboscideans. And looking into mastodons, just like they're the most distant of the group. And everything else in the group is weird until you
have a fairly good fossil record because their bits and pieces are so bloody big that they stand up the teeth and all that kind of stuff. They're well preserved.
And of course, the basalmost proboscideans are nearly indistinguishable from the basalmost sirenians, which is things like the manatee and the dugong.
Oh, you mean like almost and nearlies again?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, how do you differentiate between, like, if you saw the basalmost sirenian that we have evidence for, and you put it up next to the basalmost proboscidean that we have evidence for, AIG would call those the same kind. So
hasn't somebody made up a list of various fossils and things and put it up as, or plans to put it up as like a challenge to see if any creationist can tell them apart?
Oh, there is someone like that. Oh no, Aaron Ra has done one, but actually coming out either this Thursday or next Thursday, I also have 5 simple challenges that I want Kent Hovind and his fans to beat.
Or Ken Ham, or Bodie Hodge, or any of them.
Yep. One of them includes telling me why both ankylosaurs and tyrannosaurs are dinosaurs. And if you can't tell me why both of them are dinosaurs, please stop talking about dinosaurs.
Especially Dr. Dino.
I'll admit my forte is not in dinosaurs, so that's why I don't talk about them very often.
Well, that's fair. I mean, yeah, we
what
all
I
have things we don't know
about. The whole more physics-related side of the flood issue, as you already know.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's an important aspect of the flood issue because physics completely ruins the flood.
Those nasty number things.
And TDLane had his hand up, so let's head on over there.
Oh, it would be a shame if somebody happened to have a high-res version of the kinds chart that RJ mentioned earlier. Oops,
yeah, because I'd like to
put it in the chat.
Awesome.
Oh, you have a high resolution one in there? Ooh.
Oh yeah, I actually got from Dan from the Debate Evolution subreddit.
Nice. All right. Well, I think we should continue on. We're not quite halfway through yet.
Oh God.
We're only 7.5 minutes in.
Only be here till midnight.
All right, everybody, just shut up for like 5 minutes, okay?
All right. Let's see how far we can get. I'll add 200 clams if we can make it 3 minutes.
Be the same kind, but we list them as separate. So actually, what, about 1,400 or so kinds?
Yes. That's the number the researchers.
It could even be less than 1,000 ultimately.
Could be less than that, yeah.
Well, we've overestimated. So there's plenty of room on the Ark.
Right.
And one of the things, by the way, here's an important one too. When kids come here to
kids
the Ark,
love this exhibit.
So
you know, there's a lot of kid-friendly things here at the Ark, and I think kids love to come to the Ark. My kids do anyway.
Nothing's more kid-friendly than worldwide genocide of everything.
Well, he didn't take any of the sea creatures.
That's correct.
So you wouldn't put that one there. So you wouldn't put that there. So you wouldn't put the turtles there.
Wouldn't put the spiders.
Probably not.
Or the plants.
Yeah, didn't take the plants. So you're looking for land-dwelling, air-breathing animals
what about
here,
the tortoises?
right? That Noah took on the Ark. And let me see. There we go. Look, I got it right.
Lights up.
How about that? But again, Bodhi, we answer these sorts of questions in the book, A Flood of Evidence.
No, you
in fact,
give
there's a whole chapter that
an
explains
answer.
There's
It's
a
not
history to
actually
people trying
answer.
to fit animals on board the Ark. You know, we're not the first ones to try that sort of thing. We actually tried it for real when we actually built a real Ark. But people have done studies and calculations on this.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I really don't want to drink that much Clamato. I just can't take a chance.
You just said you would drink a Clamato if it got to 500. That doesn't mean that if it gets to 5,000, you have to drink 10 of them.
What I said, I would drink another one.
A second one, yeah.
Right, 5,000, but
yeah, 5,000. They didn't build a real Ark.
No,
they're fucking lying.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done. Go ahead, continue. Moving on.
Actually, one quick thing is it requires extensive modern HVAC systems to ventilate it such that it's safe for human habitation.
Yeah.
As I've said
So
before.
just that right there, you didn't build a real Ark. You built an Ark-shaped building.
Yeah.
And mind you, I've touched on this before. The hydrogen sulfide problem.
Yeah, we all have, except we just call it poop and pee.
Boom.
And TD Clam, you had your hand up?
Yeah, should I mention the giant building behind the Ark that they don't like to talk about?
Yeah, they
literally holds the building up.
They don't show that in the promotional photos.
Oh dear. All right.
See, look at this picture of them though, behind them though. How is it that they were able to control these animals? I don't see any ropes. I don't see any fences. It's like, yo, okay, 2 elephants this way. We have
God made it happen.
Yeah.
Come on in.
So this is actually one of the areas where the narrative itself is very explicit that God brought the animals. So that's how they get away with it. They're like, hey, look, in the Bible, this is a straight up miracle. Because if there's a miracle in the Bible, they're not going to explain it away as not a miracle. They generally just leave it as a miracle. So in this case, that's what they're just going to go with. They're just going to go with, God did it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so it's manufactured.
About it.
It's manufactured bullshitting.
Pretty much.
I'm just checking.
Just making sure.
Let's move on.
We also had Ranger Man 9404 for $2 who says, "Hold your clam up." Well, thank you for that. That's another 5 clams on the board. All right, and Furry Balls, you're it, and then next.
So the purpose of the whole flooding thing was because man was being a dick, right? You know,
right.
As a whole, man was being a dick, so God decided to kill most of us. So he had to flood the planet. And to do that, he had the ability to control the animals to get them onto the Ark.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just control man to stop us from being dicks?
You're thinking like a logical person.
I mean, at that point, it just gets into various theodicies, and I'm not going to comment on the various theodicies that exist.
I mean, we know theodicy can turn people to salt.
And Ulysses really loved his mother. It was okay.
All right.
Hey, I can read the names on the arc chart. Thank you.
All right. We are going to continue on. Here we go.
People did maximum figures. I know Arthur Jones, back in the 70s, he predicted that there'd be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1,000 kinds, somewhere around 2,000 individuals on board the Ark, in a technical paper he did back then. But later on, there was a researcher named John Woodmarappy, where he decided he was really going to try to maximize.
Wait, is it
the figures, and
Woodmarappy?
he used a smaller size.
Yeah,
Ark,
I
and
hope
he tried to
not.
put the maximum numbers of animals. Instead of that family level, he decided to jump down one level and do a genus level.
So way overestimated.
So he was way
Yeah, he had
overestimated, and he
problems.
took food and water on, and all that stuff
And
easily
he can
fit on
still
board
fit
the
on,
smaller Ark.
still
Yeah.
fit on board.
So-
So let's just walk through this exhibit real quickly. Can you bring the answers book
Let's
there
grab these.
with you? And just to show you here. So
And don't forget the merchandise.
all this material has been very carefully researched. We have it in our books as well.
Merchandising.
So how could so few kinds become so many species? So that's another aspect of it, and we
a good
discussed that in
question.
the
He's
book
saying
too.
they have
and that
a
is that after
Ark,
the
the
flood,
flamethrower?
you get 2 dogs come off, and then you get all these species of dogs,
You
which
got
is
me.
not evolution because they're still dogs.
That's right, they're dogs. They're
And
just very
actually, the research that Dr.
Uh-oh.
Yes, Tornado.
They're not it's not evolution because they're still dogs. So by that point, so I guess you could say it's not evolution because a plant is still a eukaryote.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point where you can actually cut it out. They're still dogs. They're still caniforms. They're still carnivorans. They're still ferens. They're still furunculatans. They're still, what is it, Loracetharia for furunculata? I don't remember. But
It's
I mean,
not a replacement, it's a branch.
yeah, every time you can back up a clade, and they're still whatever the heck it is. So saying, oh, they're still dogs doesn't mean anything because
Right.
you can back up through the system all the way back to biota, all of life.
We're not
Vitor the
uprooting
Snow
anything,
Dog
we're
was a
just
good
diversifying.
song.
Yeah, things diversify and they add new layers of this phylogeny, but the old layers don't go anywhere. They just stay there.
You, as R and Ra put it, you can't outgrow your ancestry.
Right, exactly. Like how many kids or how many generations is it going to take of your descendants before your descendants no longer have you as an ancestor?
Never.
Yeah, there's no number that you can find. Any number that you give, they will still be your descendants. So yes, dogs are a clade, or canines are a clade. There was at some point the ancestor population of all canines. All canines that ever exist, all descendants of that population, no matter how morphologically distinct they become, will still be descendants of that population, and so by definition will remain canines.
So anytime you say that, Ken Ham, I want you to take a look in the mirror, and I want you to see that you're lying.
Let's go over
Lying
to
for Jesus.
TD Clam, who has the hand up.
I'd just like to say that clams reproduce after their kind.
That's true.
That's what clams.
And clams also make clamato.
Well, humans make it out of them.
Clams also make a good chowder.
And RJ.
Yeah, I'm just looking over their chart here, and I noticed the vast majority of their chart list, they are not putting in alphabetical order, which makes it as hard as possible to try to find anything on them.
Oh my god, I know.
That's a terrible nightmare.
As a note, the difference between synapsids and mammals there is literally just right before mammalia forms.
They got
everything that's mammalia
Morganukadon
form
listed
is
as a
above.
mammal and Probanognathid's listed as a non-mammalian synapsid. I'd love to see them tell them apart.
Well, and the thing is, if you're
I
saying
know.
the difference between synapsids and mammals, it's like saying the difference between lizards and reptiles. There
Yeah.
isn't
I
a
know.
difference between synapsids and mammals. Mammals are synapsids. It's just that there are non-mammal synapsids, and which is one of the things that AIG and other creationists seem to get ridiculously wrong. They have trouble, even though they accept like a broadly Linnaean classification. They still say things like, well, what's the difference between a dinosaur and a bird? It's like, there isn't one. Birds are a kind of dinosaur. And yeah, I know I use the word
Especially
kind,
if they start trying to separate the examples we now have.
Well, interestingly, I don't know if it comes up in this video, but AIG has modeled dinosaurs in their like they have modeled dromaeosaurs, I believe. So Dromaeosauridae is the family that includes things like Velociraptor, Utahraptor, Dakota Raptor, Deinonychus, stuff like that. But recently in a live stream, they had David, I think it's David Menton on, and he said that dromaeosaurs were actually birds, but the AIG models of dromaeosaurs, including in their Creation Museum, have them depicted as scaly reptiles. So they're contradicting themselves.
Oh, well, it comes up the same way because some members of that group are known directly to have feathers, and therefore they're being dragged over to the flightless bird category. So one group hasn't compared notes with the other group.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do want to just grab these super chats real quick. We had Philip Sanders for $2 who says, "Ark, you sure they just weren't crew for Evan Almighty?" Yeah, no, I'm not too sure. It might be. We also had Vandalia 1998 for $4.99 who said, "Is Ken's claim the extinct things didn't make it on or died after?"
Oh, it died after.
Yeah, usually it's died after. You could say like maybe like mosasaurs or other extinct like aquatic organisms. Maybe they died off during the flood, but there's not really a lot of discussion about extinct things that they don't think were on the Ark.
54% of the kinds aboard the Ark on their list went extinct, according to them.
Yeah, which, I mean, great track record on the whole preserving life.
Yeah. And all by some weird coincidence, every single extinct one is ones that the regular scientific community thinks lived a long time ago.
Weird, that.
It's strange, isn't it? Almost like there's a pattern there. God wants us to believe in stratigraphy.
Yeah. And RJ,
no,
you
he doesn't. It's a testing of
I need
faith.
to take my little thingy down.
Okay. Yes, please take your thingy down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to continue on.
Yay! Oh, boo! I don't know.
Drink.
Wait, what's the current time?
Stratigraphy. You guys whip out words like that. You have just destroyed this show. Okay, I just want you to know.
We're ruining our reputation.
There's way too much smart going down here.
There is a lot of smart going down.
And not one single science alert tonight. What's going on here?
I'm sorry.
Oh, dear.
Science alert.
That's what happens when you let RJ and Dapper Dino and that around a Ken Ham video.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we could go for hours on this.
Jets, this is all your fault.
Yeah.
It is. You are correct, but we're having a nice night. We're having fun.
I would happily go on for hours about this.
All right. Well, we're just under the halfway point here.
We're only halfway.
We're 9 minutes and 48 seconds into this 20-minute and 32-second video.
We're gonna get the science in next.
Yes, the second half I'm sure has all the science.
Lots of it.
So let us continue on and see.
Excuse me while I dose myself with a suppository.
As long as it's not used. All right, here we go.
Nathaniel Jensen has done in recent times, and his book Replacing Darwin has shown that speciation
Right.
can happen.
God,
We didn't get very far.
It's too soon.
He mentioned Jensen. I
know, but
he's just wrong.
It just also happens that yesterday, a actual person who has worked in genetics debated one of Jensen's supposed lab assistants.
Oh, that's
no, that was
Sanford's.
Sanford's.
But close.
That was Sanford. Yeah, they have a lot of overlap, but
same thing.
Yeah, that was on Modern Day Debate, and by the way, the after show was on my channel. So if you want to see the after show for that, go there and you know.
Shameless.
But it's still
plug.
relevant, as he's also done stuff on Jensen. Jensen is a liar. He's
he's
straight up wrong and lying about stuff.
Yeah, my favorite one was that his mutation rates never ever vary, and also they're really high apparently. And Jensen is just dishonest with the data.
Yeah, he uses pedigree rates despite knowing better.
Yep, it's been pointed out that he's using the wrong technique to measure mutation rates. Doesn't care.
Yeah,
because if he
pedigree
uses the
rates
right,
are ones that involve mutations that occur in cells that don't get inherited.
right, which are not the ones that get passed on.
Yeah,
it does don't matter.
But I think we should keep going.
I think we should. We haven't even gotten to 10 minutes yet, so let's see.
we got to get to their science.
Yes. All right. Here we go.
In fact, just recently, it's been documented there's a new species of Darwin's finches in the Galapagos in something like 16 years.
Yeah.
It just shows you that can happen real quickly.
Yes,
so
we're
we'll keep up to
also
date,
not done by any
with that
creationists.
on our website and in the books that we have here. So as we go
Peter
more
and
through this
Rosemary
exhibit
Grant,
here,
damn it.
why don't changes within kind support evolution? Well, evolution involves adding new information into genes, and that's what we don't see.
Information is an undefined term.
Yeah. Okay, so information is never adequately defined by creationists, and there's a reason for that. It's because anytime you actually give a rigorous definition for information, it turns out that the genome of an organism routinely adds information by any objective definition.
Yeah.
So they just, and you'll get creationists saying things that are so stupid as like, oh, all mutations are a loss of information. So it's like, okay, so let's say that I have this codon, right? And we'll just say it's like CAG, right? That's a codon. So if it goes to CCG, that's a loss of information. But let's say in the next mutation that the middle C goes back to an A, which is basically just going back to where we were in the first place.
Mustn't it be a gain of information?
Right. Wouldn't that have to be a gain of information since the CAG had the most information according to you? No actual accounting of that. Anytime you give a definition to information, suddenly genomes start gaining information as a matter of course.
A certain book by R.J. and Jackson go into creationist claims on information in great detail.
Hey, I think I've heard about that book.
And the thing is, information is one of those things, like information theory is a valid branch of science. It does a lot of really good work. It's very important for computing. It's very important for things like transmitting data, obviously. And one of the things is, one of the things that carries the most information is static. Static contains absurdly high amounts of information, whereas, say, an image of a checkerboard contains almost none comparatively. The amount of information in a system, as measured by information science, has very little to do with how humans perceive
it as complex.
Right.
575 nanometers. Or would it be 475 nanometers?
I'm not sure of the context there, I'm sorry.
It's the wavelength of our sun.
Oh, like the peak wavelength?
Yeah.
That I did not know.
We also have Shadow with the hand up.
Oh, no, I accidentally pressed that. My bad.
Whoops. No, now you have to have a point.
Yeah. Okay.
Just say clams.
The point I have is we're at 777, so jackpot.
Yay! Hey, so a Boeing plane.
Awesome.
Jesus.
Okay, this is a bit off topic here, but have you heard of a Kent Hovind 777 Club?
Oh
no.
God, I've forgotten about that.
Okay, so he was in a debate with Aaron Ra, or not. It wasn't even really a debate, but whatever. It was on the Non Sequitur show back when that was still a thing. And Aaron Ra offhandedly mentioned that he had 666 patrons on Patreon. And Kent Hovind got it into his head that this was some kind of 666 club, and Aaron Ra was a Satanist or something.
Oh my goodness.
And so he started his 777 club, where his goal is to get 777 patrons. But rather than doing anything like having a Patreon account or anything, he just asks that people send him a check. But the amount that he asks for as like the minimum is $1 a day sent monthly. And I'm just like,
wait,
does
what?
this guy have no clue how people like, I don't.
Oh my God.
I have exactly one. Nope. I guess I have. Yeah, no, I have two patrons that could match that. But basically everyone on my Patreon is like, $5, $10, $20 generous dollars a month, not like 28 to 31.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, and he seems to think that, but actually, I mean, he makes money on it, so maybe it's not as insane as I think.
I mean, but that
Maybe
would be
there's not
like,
crazy people
I mean,
out
we're
there.
looking at like $22,000 a month. That would be.
Oh yeah,
Right?
I mean,
If you're a greedy bastard who is an ignoramus and has no ethics, it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, if he actually got 777 people to pay him $1 a day, he would be making just crazy amounts. I actually
He could afford to finish his brachiosaur butt slide ride.
By doing the math, if he had 777 people sending him $1 a day, so
Oh my goodness.
$365 a year, that would be $283,605 a year.
He'd be in Ken Ham category.
I did it timed with the quarter day for the leap year, just to and if we include leap years, on average, he would it goes up to 700.
Hey, I was pretty close. It's about 23,000 a month. I was pretty damn close.
The true question is.
Man.
The true question is, would he pay taxes on that?
Hell no.
Or would he yet again become a prison bitch?
Oh, and by the way, Kent Hovind has sued the federal government for $500 million in damages for having been incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know, was he asking people to send this in online or mail it in? Because if you're sending $1 a day in through the mail, that's $430 in stamps.
So he's asking for monthly checks. He wants people to write out a check each month.
One
and
check
mail that
per
in.
month. Got it.
Yeah. So he usually says $1 a day or $31 a month if you want to do monthly. I don't know exactly how close track he's keeping on whether or not people are in the 777.
Numbers ain't his thing.
No, they're certainly not. But yeah, it's every time he mentions it, I'm just like, I would feel so weird asking people to give me an entire $1 every day, and I plug my
have
Patreon.
shame.
Well, yeah. And I plug my Patreon in every video. It's in my end credits.
Right.
And I mention my patrons. It's like, hey, if you would like to join this group of people, there's a link.
You screw yourself the way I do. You actually tell people, don't give us money if you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's one of my rules. Is you should take care of yourself, and then your family, and then people who are close to you personally, and then if there's anything left over that you want to send my way, I'll take it.
Yeah, that's how it. I mean, and that's how most of us here operate. But these fraudsters these fraudsters are not held to the same standards by their following.
He's trying to sell snake oil and skipping even milking the snake.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, he is selling literal poison when he tells people to eat apricot seeds.
He's selling snake oil in an empty bottle, pretty much.
Well, the thing is, though,
you have to buy the bottle.
His response to accusations of being a snake oil salesman is to point out that no literal snake oil is for sale on his web store or in the gift shop.
Oh, well,
what an
that
idiot.
resolves the ethical issues.
Well then.
But that's so off topic. We should continue on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let's get back
we
to
did.
the science.
We stalled again. Jen, you had your hand up?
Yes, I do. Since we won the jackpot at 777, I suggest that we advance the video 7 minutes.
Ooh, good
I
idea.
agree.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I can go
All
for that.
right. We'll do it. We'll go to 17 minutes. How's that?
Anyone want to make book about whether they've advanced their argument any?
No.
What are we looking at here?
I
What
bet
are those?
777
I think all they're
plans.
doing is visiting.
I think it's
Wait a minute.
calicotheres.
I think we
You guys
missed
got into
their.
a cage together?
I think that's calicotheres.
I don't care what they call it. They're in the cage together.
Yeah.
Well, but I think that's what that is, though.
Well, let's see if they mention it since we're here.
That's one of those extinct kinds.
All right.
Do they have sheep on that ship?
Sheep on the ship. It's a sheep
Actually, it's
ship.
weird.
A
They
ship
split Bovidae up into sheep and cows because they think that they're too far different for most people to believe that Bovidae is a single kind.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah,
you can do a lot of stuff
the
with the sheep
cognitum, as it's called.
you can do a lot of stuff with a sheep that you can't do with a cow.
That's true.
Just ask the Welsh.
I mean, you can eat both, so.
Oh, so here's the thing, actually.
What?
So the whole whales thing with the sheep. So when the Welsh got the reputation for shagging sheep, if we will, at the time the penalty for shagging a sheep was amputation of a hand. The penalty for stealing one was death. So if you were caught doing something untoward with a sheep, like maybe carrying
Say
it
you
around.
were having sex with it, yeah.
Exactly. Because I would much rather lose a hand than lose a head.
What if you're shagging somebody else's?
That's why so many Welshmen only have one hand.
Sean has a good question. Would you want to repeat that one, Sean?
What happens if you're shagging somebody else's sheep?
Well,
it's
if
the
you're
same thing.
on
It's
their
still the hand.
property, you still lose a hand. But if you decide to take it off their property, you lose your head. Either way, you lose your dignity.
But if you take it to the edge of a
I think
cliff,
that's long
it
gone
pushes
already.
back a lot better.
If you're already shagging a sheep, you've lost your dignity.
They're already pretty bad.
All right.
Sorry if I'm kind of
Well-
quiet. I'm kind of snoozing.
That's all right.
The problem with sheep is you got to run around front to kiss them.
Anyway, let's move on.
Move on. Get to the science.
Animals that we have here.
Yeah. Well, notice some dinosaurs in here.
Yes, we have some
Oh, yay!
dinosaurs because
Yeah, that's
they're of
Calicotherus.
each kind, and there were a number of
called
dinosaur
it.
kinds. I think there could have been about 80 different dinosaur kinds.
Yeah, I think we have a max estimate
And,
about
and really, the
85.
word dinosaur wasn't
What are we
invented
looking
until
at here?
1831. It's just a word that...
I think one of their little baby sauropods.
Yes, Shadow?
I was gonna say, I don't remember anywhere in the Bible where they mention dinosaurs.
Oh, don't you know the
No?
Book of Job?
Ah.
They've rewritten the Book of Job to be brontosaurs.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So Brontosaurus is the behemoth, and Leviathan, it goes back and forth.
Something or other.
But I think my favorite one that is actually argued for by not bottom tier creationist is Baryonyx, which is a spinosaurid
Baryonyx.
dinosaur.
Oh, that's the dragon that St. George slew.
Yeah. But also, one of my favorite versions is actually the Kenthoven one, where he says it was just straight up Tyrannosaurus Rex, even though nothing about the description of
matches there
Leviathan
either.
Right,
I
yeah.
hate to be a
Yeah.
spoil sport, but the behemoth was probably a hippopotamus.
I think you mean, yeah. Behemoth was probably either a hippo or an elephant, and Leviathan was almost certainly just a Nile crocodile.
And plus mixed in a whole bunch of primordial sea creature shit builder kind of critters.
Oh yeah,
That fits
yeah.
in now.
Well, the Bible also
Time out
talks
and all
about Leviathan as a chaos dragon that you get in actually a ridiculously wide range of like mythologies. You get chaos.
I think
dragons
Vice
in
Rhino did a really neat
Yeah.
summary of all that stuff a ways back.
Yeah, you get chaos dragons in Mesopotamian literature. You get a sort of chaos dragon in Egyptian mythology, in Norse mythology.
Aren't Chaos Dragons also a Seattle punk band?
That might be.
A great band name.
Yeah.
Hey, if that isn't already taken, someone start that.
So,
Chaos Dragons!
So, TP Seeker says, is there a display on how Noah built the ark? I don't know if there is.
I think they've got some illustrations of like the early stages, and there are various articles and answers in Genesis that go into the alleged construction techniques of how they had these crossbred girders and multi-laminated wood hulling, and it's really marvelously ingenious stuff, which has the tiny problem that it's all made up.
Well, I honestly think that the construction of the ark is the least problematic part of the entire story.
Yeah.
A guy made a big boat. Okay, sure, whatever. That's fine. Sure, let's just go with it.
I mean, theoretically, you just build a big box and then wait for the water to come.
That is how the story is
then
portrayed.
you wait for it to land somewhere, which is basically is the original plot. I mean, they weren't steering it or anything, but they're forced into overthinking this because the pesky little people that are critics point out all of the waste and the buildup of sulfur dioxide and methane, or methane, if you're speaking with an Englishman on this point, and whether or not the carnivores, they actually do kind of allow carnivory. So the idea of some of these animals running around eating other animals is potentially a problem in the Ark Encounter model. And then they've got big ventilators, their great big moon pool. They've got a bunch of fascinating ad hoc bits about it. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun, and it's beautifully constructed. The woodwork and the model work and stuff. They've got people who do stuff for theme parks who happen to be creationists, and they have built all. You can see this here. Absolutely none of the critters' depictions is based on any creationist paleontology. It's all cribbed from the actual paleontology.
Paleontology. There hasn't been a creationist paleontologist, as far as I can tell, for a while.
Well, not one that's done anything. But there are some that actually, Kurt Wise is technically a paleontologist. Marcus Ross is a paleontologist. And you get stuff done in the paleontology literature from, I think, Arthur Chadwick and a few others actually still do some stuff in there. They get published regularly. But
I guess
are they contributing much to the field? No.
I will agree, though, that from an artistic standpoint, it's hard to fault the Ark Encounter very much. They hired quality artists and quality builders.
I guess a bunch of Amish woodworkers who built a lot of the woodworking on it. And it's beautiful material in there.
Yeah.
And as we all know, according to scripture, the exit this way signs are all completely accurate.
Well, the thing is, like, if you want it, like, okay, think about, like, Universal Studios. Like, they had the Harry Potter land, right? And it's
J.K. Rowling is a bitch.
Well, okay, not going to disagree, but like Harry Potter Land is well done, and they had a lot of great artists come in, and there's a cool dragon that breathes fire every once in a while. All this is really cool. If you want to do an Ark theme park, fine, that's great. You know what? It's a story with all you can put in cool animals, and you can have rides, and a themed cafe or whatever. I would not have a problem with an Ark theme park.
Mm-hmm.
My problem comes in when you're trying to tell people that this is a literally true story and actually explains things like biogeography, biodiversity, the history of human civilization. No, it doesn't do any of those.
I want to see the exhibit where you can go peek behind the curtain and see drunken Noah naked.
Well, that's after the Ark. So that's the thing. They don't have to worry about that.
Drink.
Yes, Jen.
Weren't we supposed to advance this 7 minutes and then actually play it?
We did. We played it for 23 seconds.
Well, let's play more then.
I'd say let's go.
Oh, we have hands though.
By the way, I
furry
think that
balls.
little pile of dirt over there is either its little sandbox or where its food supply is. Other than the minor fact that no sauropod could have eaten that stuff very easily.
Furball.
Yeah, when we were first talking about dinosaurs on the Ark, it got me thinking. I knew that, and I'm not Bible smart, because I was a terrible Christian back when I believed. But I knew there was something in the Bible about unicorns. So I Google unicorns in the Bible, and I'm sure the smart people on the panel already know this. But yes, the unicorns are referenced in the Bible in several different chapters and different books.
Basically, it was a medieval translation where they go, that we'll call them a unicorn. And you find the current, I think, Answers in Genesis ICR position is that there is a particular horn version of like an aurochs that lived in Siberia that they've decided was the biblical unicorn for no other reason that it looks like
when I searched unicorns in the Bible, the third thing on the list was AIG. And I just want to read there's a long list of what it is and all the books it is. But the last paragraph on the unicorns in the Bible from Answers in Genesis. The importance of the unicorns in the Bible is not as much the specific identity, much as it would be like to know, but their reality. The Bible is clearly describing a real animal. The unicorns mentioned in the Bible was a powerful animal possessing 1 or 2 strong horns, not the fantasy animal that has been popularized by movies and books. However, whatever it was, it is now likely extinct like many other animals. To think that the biblical unicorn was a fantasy animal is to demean God's word, which is true in every
And that's the argument. They can't allow any itsy bitsy teensy weensy error to creep in or exaggeration. Otherwise, the whole thing goes to hell, dogs and cats living together.
God is right.
TDLane, you had your hand up?
No!
as a side note,
Wait a minute.
Creationists.
The first thing Jess said when we got together before the show was, "Brevity is king." Okay.
I did. You are correct.
Yes.
Well, we're no longer a monarchy.
As a side note, creationists literally cannot account for biogeography whatsoever, and if they ever try to, they generally make things worse for themselves. Keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Very true.
Let us continue on.
Yeah, see, there's science.
Particular types of land animals together in a group. That's all it is.
Yeah, based on their
So,
history.
Oh, it's a
the
theropod,
evolutionists
not a
get
sauropod.
all emotional about that, and you know.
Well, that's because
how did
evolution is one of their.
They,
That's
they
one of their
have,
icons.
they have meltdowns about
Yeah.
us talking about dinosaurs. It's one of their icons, and they believe dinosaurs evolved into birds. So they get all
right.
upset about
Yes,
that.
they
Hey, notice one of Noah's sons up there.
Yep.
You know,
I've
pouring
noticed
water in there, food in there, food in there.
food down in the food.
Yeah.
But I've noticed, people walk through here and they sometimes miss all the aspects and elements, especially when it's crowded.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons that I've talked to so many people say when I went to the Ark, it was great, but I need to go back so I can see more stuff. And even before we did this interview, it was neat.
Give us
we were
more
walking
money.
up here and Ken's like, "Hey, I didn't notice this detail on something." So even Ken sees new things when he comes to the Ark.
It's amazing what our artists have done. There's all
They
if you,
really
if you
have.
just spend time looking through it. Actually, if you come back a number of times, I still see things in the museum.
You
And
waste a
our
lot of
artists are
money.
very clever in the way they've added
They
certain
are.
things in.
Yeah, it's not
There's
a
a
cheap
reason
trip.
for everything. But anyway, I guess
right.
there's people who've been watching us from all over today, Bodie, and someone says, "Love you both." Someone here that said they have autism. We've got a couple of people in our family in Australia. We're very familiar with that,
Right.
and got a number of our supporters who have children with autism.
Yeah.
Where do
And,
those alleles come from?
Of course, we love to be able to work with those people.
Corruption from the fall.
How much are those
Yeah.
books in Australia? Actually, if you're in Australia, if you go to our website and go up to the right-hand side, you can change the country you're in, and you'll click on Australia, and you'll come up with the Australian online bookstore, and you'll find out how much they are there, because I'm not sure.
Right, yeah, you see the price.
But you can get them in
We can do the
Australia.
same
Not
sort of
gonna
thing
recommend
in
buying
England,
from
in England,
CMI.
United
Europe,
Kingdom, and
so-
we'll very soon have a website
No, he's
in
not.
Canada as well.
Yeah.
In fact, we already have all the books up there. It's just getting our online store done.
Well, I
So-
I
wonder
think
if
he's
people
now just
realize
getting
that.
into his commercials.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I have a comment.
Yes.
Yeah, it's terribly ironic him talking about how he spots new things all the time, because apparently one thing he's never seemed to spot at his own Ark encounter is that the horse exhibit completely contradicts his own view of horses, because he denies the horse sequence, but their own museum functionally accepts it.
Yeah, it's one of a number of self-contradictory things. I mean, one of them is just those theropods in there. It's not entirely clear what they are, but I will say this: it's very clear that those are Maniraptorans. And since Menton, who is associated with AIG, has recently gone full fiducia, which means that all Maniraptorans are birds, he has birds in that cage that don't look like birds to me.
Yeah, what was throwing me off was that skull. It looked so broad and wide. It looked like a Myosaurus or something. It was such a weird depiction of it. Well, remember, they're trying to come up with kind of a generic form because they don't want to have every example of something. So they want the archetypal one, just like their little kitty cat and their little proto dog that they would have to cut down. By the way, in case it didn't become clear, they think there's roughly 1,500 kinds aboard the Ark, which is a real low ballpark number. It's way below what Kurt Wise was talking about. He was talking like in the 8,000 range.
I think the reason
isn't there a brand of hot dogs called Proto Dogs?
It could very well be.
I think the reason for the oddly shaped skull on the theropod, when you're looking on like a ventral view, is because I think the artists probably only looked at a side view for skeletal reconstructions when trying to work out how to build these animals.
Well, I know they cribbed directly from some of the material from David Norman and various other conventional paleontologists, because they've not come up with their own reconstructions. They've taken illustrations that they've done from the regular dinosaur paleontology, and then generated large blow-up versions to make the casts for the bones and so forth and so on. So it's all pure parasitism.
I'm very happy, by the way, that you said Norman after David, because I was kind of expecting you to say Peters, and I would have probably had to go leave the room if you had said Peters.
Peters. No.
Peters.
David Norman. He's
David
the world's leading authority on the iguanodons, and he's a wonderful British paleontologist.
David Peters.
If anyone doesn't know, David Peters he's not a creationist, but he's at least as crazy, and he does quote unquote paleontology via Photoshop filter.
Yeah. What's the one that he thinks came from the Tenrex whales? I think he thinks all the whales came from Tenrex.
Yeah, whales are Tenrex. Dinosaurs are a sister group to mammals. Pterosaurs evolved into birds, and they are a kind of lizard.
Humans evolved. Humans' closest relatives are pangolins.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And
just imagine you took a systematics book, ran it through a blender, and then began to kind of just splice pieces together arbitrarily, and those are the relationships he comes up with.
Yeah, and then you Google Translate it.
Yeah,
into Hebrew, and then to Serbo-Croatian. And
yeah, David Peters. He's that odd example of the complete nut job who doesn't actually happen to be a creationist when it comes to paleontology.
And that shows the method. That kind of mind can exist completely independent of that theology framework. It's not a requirement. So you can find those sorts of people. The creationists will share that bad method, but it's not caused by their religion. It's caused by whatever is going on in the weird little gears of their brain.
Right. Well, that's also why you get very religious paleontologists who do completely ordinary good paleontology, like Robert Bakker.
Robert Bakker, who's a Lutheran minister.
Oh, I thought he was a Baptist.
Oh, well, I'd heard it was Lutheran, but anyway, some
it doesn't matter.
Anyway, he and no creationist should ever try to take him on. He'll chew him up for breakfast.
Oh goodness! Or I mean, there's also Mary Schweitzer, who creationists love to reference, although they never bother. Yeah, and she's a fairly devout Christian, and also a very ordinary, standard, goes with the scientific consensus paleontologist who does work that's published in regular old journals and is not a young Earth creationist or an anti-evolutionist. The theology is, certain versions of Christian theology require you to be an anti-evolutionist, but the broad aspects don't. And not having that theology does not guarantee that you're not going to be a crackpot. As far as I know, David Peters has no particular religious affiliation, but he is at least as absurd as Ken Ham.
Yeah. Hey. And he is notorious. He's just hilarious. Those who do pay attention to him are finding just an endless supply of stupid.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's... The problem is that his stupid isn't very entertaining because you have to know a lot about the technical paleontology literature to realize just how crazy he is.
And he's a lone wolf.
Yeah, he doesn't have
there are a few people that follow him, but he has no real movement, and he doesn't have legions of people sending him money, and he's not got like an art park.
Yeah, no, he's basically a nobody, except the Google he's got search engine optimization down like to a T. Because if you search for any organism,
he pops up a lot. Yeah, I have to go. That's his website. Bye.
Yeah, actually, in the video series that I recently made, and it's slowly coming out on my channel. It's called Fluffy Dino Lads, and it's a debunk of a particular young Earth creationist and his attempts to say whether various organisms are obviously dinosaurs with no feathers or obviously birds with feathers. Several of the reconstructions he used were David Peters, and I noticed because you can kind of tell if it's a David Peters reconstruction. He has a few weird things, like he puts like color-coded bones in, but doesn't always explain what the color coding means, and he always has somewhat implausible soft tissue outlines on his skeletons. So yeah, it's
or he makes shit up.
Well, yeah, basically. So it's you can tell. Oh wow, that's a nice super chat there.
Yes,
last
we had
last time I was remembering any televangelists or anything like that, Dr. Gene Scott kept yelling about playing it again, and he's going to keep showing his sources till people send him money. So
yes, Morton Nielsen for 45 dick dollars says that's a long text Ken got there. Still reading it. Also, clam on with it.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, Ken Ham is. It's very
Done.
hard. Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't have anything.
Well, we successfully made it through his video. We didn't quite
Kind of.
do it all the way, but
I made it halfway through. Yay!
We got into as much of the
Jesus.
science as they were ever going to get us.
that's
We got to
true.
at least see the dinosaurs, which is what I came for. So
We did, absolutely. So
And
let's
their little
let's
kitty
do our
there.
let's do our wrap ups. So pretty much almost a Reds move. Say what you got to say and then mute yourself. So we'll start with Clamato pelt, not clam tato. Clamato
guys,
pelt.
I basically knocked myself out halfway through the stream, so that's how you know it was stupid.
Very true. Well, thank you for coming, Clamato. Jenny Morgan.
I'm going to have to do some serious reconsideration about this show. You know, it's clear that I'm far too stupid for it, and I think it's probably time to leave.
I think it's I don't think so. I still think y'all have me beat. So at least it's you're smarter than one person.
Smarter than the average calculator.
I can't speak for the other people because I don't know their level of smartness. I mean, other than
RJ, my calculator has been throbbing through this entire thing.
I am glad to hear that.
oh dear.
Bye.
Fucking cat whisperer over here. Sorry, I turned my head and Sean is petting one cat and all four of them are just hovering around his hand. I'm like, what the fuck? Well, thank you for coming anyway, Jen. I do appreciate it. Chris Kelling, one with the clam.
I think my name says it all. That's all I have to say at this point.
All right. Well, I'm glad you were here with us. Shadow.
Well, on the one hand, I did feel way smarter than Ken Ham in anything said in this damn video. On the other hand, I definitely feel like I got schooled by some of the other people in the panel, which is totally fine. Gotta have balance. But oh my god, my brain also kind of hurts right now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for coming again, Shadow, and hopefully we will see you soon on Game of Fools.
Yes, Game of Fools tomorrow night. We are playing Pictures Against Humanity, courtesy of Tornado. So
awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. We'll say goodnight to Furball.
I'll jump on the bandwagon with Jen, and I've already said it before. RJ is supposed to be the only smart one on this panel, and the rest of us are dumb, and we feel outnumbered now. So thank you for coming, Dapper. Thank you very much for coming, TDLane. You made us feel like idiots, because we are, and you're smart. But when you come back, I'm going to preface this with every conversation I've ever had with AB Science, because he's helped me out with a lot of my experiments. He'll explain something, and then I have to tell him, okay, dumb it down a little bit more. And then he explains it again. And it's, okay, I think I got a little bit more, but dumb it down a little bit more. And usually about the 5th iteration of that, I get it. So start there next time, damn it.
Sorry.
Start 5 iterations down the line.
You guys just got to understand that most of us have a limit of 3 syllables per word.
You should hear the conversations that RJ and I and like Jackson Wheat and people like that have on our own when it's just us.
Wait. People like that.
No, I don't. I don't need to hear that at all.
Oh, jeez.
No, I really don't.
I would hear words. I wouldn't really hear anything intelligent.
I'm not sure which language they would be.
Yeah.
But I know that they would be human words.
Exactly.
Well, with the systematics that Jackson would be mentioning, there'd be some Greek and Latin.
Well,
same here.
I felt bad. Somebody asked me if I read their paper. They had sent me their scientific paper, and I said, well, I saw that it had words. And I saw that it had words all the way down the page, but there was not enough pictures. So I saw words. I can't say that I read it. It's
honestly,
the same
Jess,
idea.
Did you see that it had words, or did you see that it had letters configured in a form that looked like words, but not words you
Yes,
recognize.
that was it. It was definitely that. There was
Yes.
letters, and they all were put together in something that I think was supposed to be words, but I don't really understand it, so it's just letters.
I think it's important for me to read Colorado Biker Prepper's latest. And he says, I'd rather put my testicles in a vice and use a blowtorch on them than listen to any more of Ken Ham's willful ignorance and astounding stupid.
Well, I like that sentiment.
Sound policy.
I can guarantee you there will be no Ken Ham on next week's wheel. Again, just because I make these guarantees does not mean that there's not going to be something worse.
Claudia.
That just means the entire wheel next week is Claudia.
I'll put one Claudia video on there, but heavily weighted again.
Yeah.
Or you need to hide it so we don't know it's her.
Oh, that's
Label
true.
it something that gets us excited until you hit
the
play.
mystery video.
The science of something I'll put on there, and you'll be all excited to be like, oh yeah, science, and then be like, ha ha ha, nope.
Yeah, just have it with the image blurry enough that you can't really read it. So it's the science of.
All right, RJ. Final thoughts.
Yeah, well, you've heard me rattle off here. I mean, you realize what happens when you bring up Ken Ham, Ark, and dinosaurs all in the same thing. I mean, I'm just a happy little camper.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it was a lot of fun, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, and shameless plug, buy my books.
Numano Ultra Microscopic Silico Volcanosis. Volcanosis.
Yes, Al wants to know if we can read the word, and then he put a big word, and I can read pneumo, and then there's ultra microscopic, and then there's volcano, and then there's coniosis. I don't know if I could read it all together, but I missed that other one. There was microscopic silico. Oh, like silicon. Okay, get it. Silico.
I just want to correct the answer on that. He wanted to know if you can read the word. There you go. The word.
In silico could be something where they're doing a computer
It's so much
simulation
easier
or
that way.
Damn it, Furball. Why didn't you tell me this trick earlier? All right.
Actually, grammatically, because he has the word in quotes, and it follows the verb phrase "read the word." It really is read this word, not just read the word as in word, but the whole word as in quote. Okay,
shut up, Jen.
Sorry.
Damn it! Now Jen is smarter than everybody too. All right, and yeah, Kitsune says Greece is the word. Yes. All right, TDLane.
I had a fantastic time on this great Clam Strike movie night with a bunch of clam and good people. I
Awesome.
look forward to coming again next week.
Absolutely, we were very happy to have you, and I'm definitely glad that you reached out and we were able to get you on.
Yeah, I'm not normally this smart. This is just my niche. I'm usually an idiot.
Oh, hey, Paul G is in the chat.
He is.
My God, it's Paul.
Paul. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Everybody say hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
There we go. There's a delay. Hi, Paul. All right. Dapper Dino, what do you got for us?
All right. Well, if you liked my appearance here, I do similar stuff on my channel. I've taken a look at AIG. I've taken a look at Kent Hovind. I've taken a look at some more, shall we say, obscure and even lower tier creationists, if you can believe it. So yeah, come check out my channel. I'll post a link in the chat.
Too late. Already did.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I do a weekly show on Tuesdays. It's called Kent with Bent. Me and my co-host Bent Hovind, no relation. We drink and we examine Kent Hovind videos. So it's basically this with a smaller panel. But yeah, come check it out. If you know who Landon Kurt Knoll is, he's a regular guest on my channel too. We talk about astronomy and science stuff, like astrobiology, planetary evolution, formation, all that cool stuff. It's a variety of interesting science / creationism debunk. So come check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody definitely should check that out. Dapper is awesome. And we were glad to have him with us tonight.
Thank you.
And Chris Kelling. Did I get...
You got me
I got
already.
you, but you changed your name again. You confused me.
Yes, well, so furball, so.
Ah.
I figured we're at the end of the show. There
Gotcha,
wasn't any need
alright.
to keep,
Yeah, I was confused. I'm like, wait. Alright, and I think that leaves us with Sean Hufford.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been distracted. I'm still trying to get over depression.
Understandable.
Indeed.
Next week, are we going to take apart J.K. Rowling's essay on how to hate transgender people?
I don't think
Yes.
so.
Oh, please. It's being made such a big deal out of it. It's not.
Fuck you.
I don't want to go into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one that we probably won't put on here.
I know,
but...
I know, and I didn't expect it, but I sure didn't expect such comments such as that.
I understand.
I'm going to be heading off so I can enjoy some gut-sick food.
That's the perfect volume level, by the way, Tornado.
In case anyone didn't hear, he said he was going to go off and enjoy some Gutsick Gibbon, which I also say, go subscribe to Gutsick Gibbon, also known as Erica. She has really good content. And also, if you aren't subscribed to her and you're subscribed to me, or vice versa, if you're subscribed to me and not her, you're missing a fair portion of each of our content. My video yesterday had about 4 minutes of Erica explaining the evolution of human skin tone. So.
And with that, I'm going to head off. So good night, everybody.
Good night, Tornado.
Good night, Tornado.
Good night.
And
Morton here reporting for Jared. I'm going to say good night and big balls.
And Morton Nielsen in the live chat says, clam, 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 clam. Well, thank you, Morton.
Have you adjusted the total?
What?
Did you adjust the total to reflect Martin's comment?
I did. I added all of the clams.
Oh, we only need 3 more clams to get us to 800.
We gotta get 3 more
Come
clams.
On. Clams! Bring the clams!
We got one. We got a CKAM. That's not a clam. There's a clam. And a clam. I think we should be at 801 clams now.
Not 5,000, though.
No, we did not make it to 5,000. However, you have a hefty total to try to outdo next week before I let y'all go. So we have to get to 800 and hold on, we got more coming in. 1, 2, 3. All right. So we've got 806 clams is the total that we need to beat next week before everybody's allowed to leave. And that includes the live chat. The live chat is not allowed to leave. But yes.
Yeah, that'll be fun to enforce. Can I just say one thing before we go?
Yes.
Dapper and TD, you guys were spectacular. RJ, of course, you're always spectacular. But these two guys are pretty darn smart, and it was a lot of fun having you guys in.
Thank you. That's very flattering.
I have never ever been good at that whole rack of words of genus and kind and family and species and the sequence. Remembering, I don't forget it. I don't want to know that shit, but I understand a lot of what you guys are saying, and it's really impressive that you're so smart.
It's just I read a lot. That's the entire thing. That's all there is to it.
We got a lot of time on our hands.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be having more time now. I'm graduating literally next Wednesday.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations. And you're that young too?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, I'm graduating a year later than I should be because I was not a good student earlier in my life, but
TDLane is like a baby.
Asking,
it took me 24 years to get my degree. So.
What?
High school.
Oh
at
my
19.
goodness.
Yep, TDLane, he's a baby.
What?
Oh my gosh.
You wouldn't be able to tell by my face. My facial hair decided to go crazy once quarantine started. It's great.
Oh, you finally hit puberty? Good for you.
Oh dear. All right.
Well, congratulations. Let me tell you, in the next 10 years, things are going to change for you. Trust me.
Yay!
Have you gotten laid yet?
He's in high school, so yeah.
Well,
he's
I do.
He's 19. I don't care if he's in high school. He's 19.
And he's
Hey.
smart. That does
is
not go
true.
conducively with getting laid.
Yeah. All right. Well, we had a lovely night. I am so glad that we had everybody here tonight. This was an awesome panel. You guys were all great. I do appreciate everybody coming back week after week. Please go and sub to Dapper Dino and RJ and Paulogia and everybody on this panel. We have Furball and we have Chris Kelling. This whole panel is amazing. This live chat is amazing. I want to thank everybody for coming. We do have a puggy on the screen. Cute little pug. He's so cute.
810 clams.
Yes, we had 810 clams. I'm cutting off the clams. And yeah. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming.
If I may make a note, if
yes.
everybody
needs streaming, their streaming being filled on Sunday, and they need more than just the Uncalled For, which is an excellent show. Dapper will be doing birthday streaming for that day.
Yep.
Yeah.
From
who's their guest?
Oh, my guest?
No, Uncalled For.
Oh, Uncalled For. I'm not sure.
Who is their guest, Jen? Maybe you could help us with that, Jen.
I think it's me.
I think it's you. It is.
Nice.
It is. Jen is going to be
Lovely.
our guest on the Uncalled For on Sunday over on the I Network.
And I will not feel bad if you decide to skip my stream for it, because I get it.
Yes, it is always a fun time over there.
They're paying me. I have to go.
Right. We were supposed to talk to you about that, Jen.
Another cheapskate. God damn it.
And apparently I pronounced Paulo Gia's name incorrectly, so I do apologize. I thought I pronounced it correct, and apparently I did not. So I apologize big time. And alright. That's it. We are out. Give me 1 second.
Bye.
Good night.
Say goodnight, everybody.
Night.
Thank
Night,
you, everybody, for coming.
everybody.
Say thank
Don't
you
accept
still.
any wooden penguins.
No penguins. I love penguins.
Especially ones with lightsabers.
You know, the fact that they're our closest relative really explains why they chose them to be the guards down for Antarctica in the flat Earth scenario.
Good night,
old
everybody.
It really makes sense now.
Good night, good night, good night. Blah, blah,
Night.
blah.